I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Saturday night, 22 February. Hang on, I gotta fix that clock. I had to put it down for the load shedding we had here. Oh, 21 degrees. I actually got it warm in my house. Turned the temperature up because it was cold. Anyway, welcome back. It's Saturday night, 22nd of February, 2025, here on the East Coast of the United States. For those viewing in Europe, South Africa, and around the world, it's already February 23rd. Hence the reason for the new way of labeling this sunrise 22/23, because it's 2 days at once, at least for the first hour. So welcome back to the program, folks. Pleasure to have you join me once again on this, well, Saturday night, Sunday morning. Do you know where your children are? If you don't know where your children are at this hour, you've got a problem, whether you're there or here. Hope everyone's doing well. So that was, of course, Giselle with Plek in de Zon. That's beautiful stuff. A little spot in the sun for everybody there. I'll say hello to everybody here. But before, it's funny the things you hold on to. Well, it's because you cherish them, or just something will never happen again in life. But when I was a student at L'École d'État-Major, which is the staff college in Bordeaux, in Tunis, we had little badges that we wore based on our service on our uniform. So I was with the Army, but we had some, police and gendarmerie and Air Force and Navy in each of our seminars. Each of us had some of those small. But this was the badge I wore as a student at L'École d'État-Major. And you can see that it's a horseshoe with a tank in there, an M60 tank. Pretty cool, huh? L'École d'État-Major. Anyway, just sitting here on the shelf. I hadn't looked at it in a long time. So, yeah, that was my service badge while a student at L'École d'État-Major. Yeah, a course that I could have run in 6 weeks, but it ran for 9 months. But nonetheless, it was interesting. It was taught in French entirely, so every day I did everything in French. That was one of the bigger challenges of my life, folks. Wow. One of the bigger challenges is learning something all day in French. I mean, if I learned French as a child, it would have been easy. But having learned French in my 30s, it proved to be a challenge. But I did quite well, and I was very fluent in French when I left there. But had a lot more to do with the foreign students in the class, like my friend Ibrahim Mamadou Bagadoma from Niamey, Niger. Well, he's actually from Zander, but he was in Niger, in Niamey, because he went up being the chief of the gendarmerie there before he retired. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat. Aretha Swart, Suzette Haman, Andre Abet von Vili, wow, that's an interesting name. Len Crow, Jan Fidon, Willem Erasmus. We're probably affected by load shedding at this hour today. It's also a Sunday. Western Cape currently stage 3. Suzette Haman, they don't delete anyone, they just learn to Photoshop. They did. They learned Photoshop 25 years after the program was created. Dennis LaRue, good morning. 7.5 hours load shedding on forecast. Good Lord. Escom Push. Well, I haven't checked my Escom Push app lately. Let me take a look and see. Where's it at? It's on here somewhere. It's one of the last sheets here. Papa John's. When did I add Papa John's? It's got to be here somewhere. I've got it somewhere. Let me try this way. This is an easier way to find it. Just go to the Play Store. And they've changed it around. I like the way they do the Play Store now. It's at the bottom. Search button. Escom Push. Okay. I don't have it enabled. Oh, I got to update it now. Hopefully it'll let me update from here. Okay, it is. It's letting me update. That's good news. Sometimes you can't get those apps from overseas. Right. Agreed to a 2% hike in VAT. The miraculously Escom will regenerate. Yeah, I think you're right. Mark Keep Pretorius says, good morning, all. Hope you had a good rest. I did. I slept for about 5 hours earlier. It was a bit much. Now, Escom Push. Let's open up and see what it says. All right. It says Saturday, February 22nd. Stage 3 from 3 a.m. to 5:30. Stage 3 from 11 to 1:30, and stage 3 from 7 to 9:30. It's got an advertising in here. Why am I getting ads inside this app? Of course, this is Pretoria North. That's where I'm interested in. So there you go. Pretoria North. Whoops. What's with the ad there? From ads everywhere, man. Escom trying to make money off the ads. Pretoria North. There you go. Escom Push. Okay. Yep. Well, is it South African time zone? Yeah, I don't know why it didn't change anything. Okay, all right. Not pretty, folks, not pretty. Not pretty for South Africa, or for your economy, for trustworthiness in your government. Okay, so where were we at there? Jan van Driel says, wow, ENCA News with Joel Pollack interview was straight up, and he took the ENCA on with the reporters. Yeah, he did. I did the same thing, but I haven't been invited on ENCA or News 24 or SABC or Newsroom Africa. None of them invited me on, so yeah. Derek Stewart is in from Winterstrand, South Africa. That's located in the Eastern Cape, just southwest of East London. Allison Johnson, welcome to you. Hendo's here. Hey, Hendo, how you doing? Less Fun Ice. And Imagine Cakes and Treats. Eklebs at Amp Gaming. Teresa Engelbrecht, Ormagan. Nico Christine. How do you like stage 6? Yeah, gotcha. Rion332. Good morning to you. Marius Fenta. Good morning to you. Monray Seabritz, all the way in from the Western Cape. Welcome to you. Americaners, I like that. Off-grid solar. Yeah, well, I've got solar too. Let's see how it did yesterday, middle of winter time here. Picked up, well, it's still today here. We got 28.9 kilowatt hours. That's pretty good for a winter day. Yesterday was 30, 36, almost 37. Yeah, I've had some good days, but the month is behind February last year. Last year I had 400 plus, and this year I only have 300 and some. And running out of days here, I'm at obviously last was 600. This year is 426, about 200 short of last year, and I've just got a week to go. So might make it, might not. I had a lot of bad days beginning of the month, lots of clouds, the snow, the rain, and then we hit some days with 30, and then the next day it was 5, then 30, 25, then 5. It was crazy. So it's been back and forth. Teresa Engelbrecht, Janet Lydian from South Carolina. Nathan is here. Carl Erasmus. Alfonso Ferreira, good morning. There's no load shedding in South Africa. There's no crying in baseball. Johannes Pretorius, Teresa Engelbrecht, Nathan, I said. Gus is back. Hey, Gus, how's it going? Carlo Cronier, how are you this fine evening? Well, I'm okay. Just taking stock of life. I really needed some rest today after calling those games. I got tired in that Scotland game. Did the interview this morning, too. So did 3 live streams, 2 on my Rugby Ascendant, 1 on this channel, and produced 2 videos today, 1 last night. Yeah, and took care of a little bit of business and managed to get about 5 hours rest. It wasn't straight through. I woke up a few times, but it was comfortable. I laid down on the couch. It was nice in my sitting room. Quagga, welcome to you. The extinct species of quagga is here. Johannes Pretorius, are we on the stage of load 3 or worse? Who knows? Who knows? You can't trust them anyway. Bert Geldenhuis, Ursula Windsor, welcome to you. Geert Breed, PJ Bota, okay. Michael Byrne, and Rolf van der Merwe, good morning. Power's been off since 2 a.m., says Val. 2 a.m. Well, it's currently in South Africa after 6, so that's going to suck. Overcast from Mossel Bay. Yes, Mossel Bay, lovely spot. Places spiking in population, people fleeing to the garden route, living down there in George, in Mossel Bay, Knysna. That's where everybody's flocking to get away from everything. Unfortunately, the criminals follow you because they see money signs. So they follow you where you go, whether you have money or not. Well, folks, welcome back. If you've got questions tonight, I get the impression some people are shy to ask questions. Don't be frustrated if I look a little exasperated answering the same question. If I say I asked and answered, it's okay. Ask your question. I'll try to answer if I can. But I do ask people to watch the videos. But people aren't watching the videos. Really tailed off the last few days, and I wasn't imagining that. I have not had a video over 50,000 since the 14th. So 8 days, been over a week since I had a video made over 50,000 views. And back then I was getting 7 in a row. So the interest is really trending downward. We are picking up subscribers still, but only a third of the pace we were picking them up a week ago, which is, we're happy to get more subscribers. Oh, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. On the 18th, I did have a 96,000 view. My apologies. Yeah, on the 18th, I missed that one. So it's only been 4 days. Quit panicking, Chris. Yeah. But the ones that surprised me not getting much attention are the refugee ones. I put these refugee ones together, and I think people are afraid to go there like somebody's tracking them. But the top 14 now is up to almost 87,000 views. That's good. It keeps going slowly, but it's got 1,000 views in the last 48 hours. That's some good news. People should go and watch that. How many comments are on that video? Let's take a look there. Too far. There it is. No, that's not it. Down here. There it is. Yeah, that's 30 videos ago, by the way, now. That's because there's 30 on the page when you look at your videos, or you can make it longer, 30 to 50, but I got 30 per page. It's the bottom of that. That's the February 11th. I've done 30 videos, prepared videos since February 11th. In 11 days, I've done 30 prepared videos on YouTube, on this channel alone. Wow. and that has 1,300 comments. 5,461 likes. Thank you for that, folks. Let's go ahead and put that link up here in the broadcast. So if anybody's new here and they want to check that out, the 14 most frequently asked questions. What an odd number, right? I could have gone with 15, but people were asking about firearms, but I didn't put that one in there. I think the problem with this refugee program is that people don't understand what a refugee is. They really don't. It's not an immigrant. It's not an asylum seeker. Okay. Views will explode when the guidelines come through, Chris. Well, yeah, and of course, my luck, that'll happen while I'm at the war college and not able to transmit. Used to not get load shedding because of Ister plots, but lately they hit us. Yeah, no, I heard that before. They would never. Same with Waterkloof. People seem to manage to avoid getting load shedding if you were in the grid next to Waterkloof, but I don't know if that's the case anymore. Did a YouTube survey on one of your round posts, went into details about quality and value of information presented, gave you highest ranking always. Well, thank you, Gus. That's very, very kind. Namaste. I appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. Interesting that YouTube is asking for, maybe they'll promote it. We'll see. Yeah. So, well, views have exploded. I mean, honestly, folks, they've exploded over the past month. Anyway, it all started with Knobs and Kesey's assault on the colored flight attendants on the FlySAF Air. This abusive, racist language she spewed at them. That's when I didn't start getting subscribers, but views started picking up then. That was in late December. And then throughout January, the views picked up a bit, but the subscriber base really hadn't gone anywhere. And then suddenly it started taking off around the time that Trump became president, and then just went from there. To give you an idea, in the last 28 days, we've had 2.8 million views. Okay, so let me just tell you how that works long term, just in case you're curious. This channel's worked. I've worked long and hard to struggle to get this thing going. 2.8 million views in the last 28 days. I have a total of 7.4 million views over the past 3.5, almost 4 years. Wow. So minus 2 is 5.4, and 8 makes it 4.6. I had 4.6 million just 28 days ago, and now 7.4 million. 40,000 hours watched and over 48,000 subscribers. And if you look at the chart, it's like this with a few peaks every now and then with events in South Africa, mostly like this. And then it takes off a month ago up here, and it drops, but it comes back, stays up here. Instead of being down here, it's staying up at this level roughly. So excited about that. Val says the power just came on. The survey, first time I got something. Yeah, well, Ronell, it's the algorithm is catching on because of the spike. I mean, what happens is that a channel suddenly gets a lot of views, YouTube will pay attention. Eventually, they'll start asking why to get better feedback for that. So if you say nice things, that's great, and there'll be some trolls that say nasty things. Of course, the algorithm's pretty clever. It can figure that out, looking at the number of responses. So anyway, but thank you for that. Do appreciate it. That's weird. Today, I've had like spikes. They come up and then they tail off. And they come up, they tail off, come up, top. It's like 3 ski slopes, like this. Then you go to the next one, you go to the next one, over the last 48 hours. Anyway, yeah, so just a little bit about that. We slowed down a bit on the subscribers, but hey, we'll keep it up. Got a lot of members here. I'm going to have to do a members thing. Maybe tomorrow evening I'll do a members broadcast. We'll see. Greetings to my Neanderthal brother, says Debbie Wilson. Yes, Tink Andre Ernst is in the USA. Did an interview with Tucker Carlson. Where does your love for South Africa originate? Christopher, I've told this story many, many times, but I will try to do the Reader's Digest condensed version. In the 1970s, as a young kid, I followed the wars in Africa. That's when Soldier of Fortune magazine was big, and it would be in the library, and I'd read it, fascinated about events and wars taking place all over the world. I'd read U.S. News and World Report, Time, and Newsweek, which were real magazines and not propaganda pieces. And they have maps of battles and, the 6-Day War. I was older, but the Yom Kippur, I was old enough to see that. Stuff like that. I found it fascinating, found military history fascinating. And so I started following what was going on in Rhodesia, Angola, Mozambique, and I read this book by John Stockwell, who was a CIA agent, and he was sent to help out Holden Roberto, a foolish move by the CIA. Should have gone with Savimbi at that time. But Holden Roberto, and he wrote this book after his time in the CIA about what we did with the FNLA in Angola. Now, I just got this in the mail. It's a reprint because I haven't seen this in decades, 30, 40 years since I saw this book. But I read, he's still alive, by the way. He's 80-something. But I read that book, and that got my fascination, and I followed things. And then I got a paperback from James Michener called The Covenant, which is about Geloof de Dag and the historical fiction history of South Africa, taking real people, fictional places, mixing together. And I thought it was fascinating. And so my interest in South Africa grew from there. I went to university. And at university, in my first term, I was introduced to rugby. I'd known about rugby. I'd never seen it played. We had club rugby there, and I discovered it was a great game. So as a historian, a budding historian, I wanted to support a team. We didn't have a national side in 1982. So I looked around, and I couldn't support England. No way I could support France. Maybe New Zealand. Nah. And I settled on South Africa because I had a bit of interest in Africa, and I became a Springbok fan. Shortly after that, I became a Western Province fan. And it just kind of grew from there. I self-taught myself to read and understand Afrikaans in the 1980s. And people asked me if I was a racist. I'm like, why would you say that? Well, because you're learning Afrikaans. I said, what's that got to do with being a racist? Well, it's the language of oppression. I said, what? You do realize that most people that speak it aren't even people who are white, who don't even have political power. So how can it be a language of oppression? Anyway, I discovered when I learned German, which was my second language, that people express themselves differently in different languages. Language is constructed differently. And so I discovered that I understood German much better because I understood the language. Doesn't mean you have to, but if you understand language, it helps understand colloquialisms and mannerisms and usages of language, helps you understand the people and what they're all about. So yeah, that's where it all started. And then in 1984, when I was a private, sitting in Bad Kreuznach in Rheinland-Pfalz in Germany at the Education Center on Rose Barracks, trying to sign up for a college course, I looked over on the counter, the table, coffee table next to me, waiting my turn to go in and sign for a class. Most of the people there were just malingers. They would pretend to be interested in class. They wouldn't have to work in the motor pool. I would actually go towards the end of the day, if possible, in my lunch hour, try to sign up for a real class. And there's a little pamphlet there, and I picked it up, and it said, the U.S. Army Foreign Area Officer Program. I'm like, what's this? For commissioned officers, usually you go into training as a senior captain. They send you to postgraduate school, where you get a master's degree at the government's expense while still drawing a salary and benefits. Okay. And you're sent to language school, where you pick up a foreign language for the region you'll be a specialist in. And then you're sent typically to work in an embassy as essentially an intern for a year, thereabouts. And afterwards, you become qualified. You become an attaché, a security cooperation officer. You work in intelligence. You work at commands. That sounds fascinating. So I decided in 1984 that as a private, very, very ambitious plan, that I would become a commissioned officer, regular Army, which is the distinction between reservists. Most officers are commissioned, the way I get commissioned, are commissioned reserve officers, but go on active duty. I was commissioned as a regular Army officer, so that meant I'm in the regular Army. So there's a big difference. The regular Army is smaller than the actual total Army of active force because many officers are reservists on active duty. So regular commissioned officer, regular Army, military intelligence, my first choice, and then later become a foreign area officer for sub-Saharan Africa, my first choice. Many people want in Europe. They all want to work in Moscow, Berlin, London, Paris, Amsterdam, Stockholm, places like that. And then I would make full colonel, very ambitious, and become the defense attaché in South Africa. All of that came true. It wasn't easy. It was a difficult path. To give you an idea how difficult the path is, the Army, I don't know the current number, but my days in the Army, which ended just a few years ago, there were 78,000 officers in the U.S. Army, 78,000 out of 600,000 troops. Of the 78,000 officers, there are about 1,100 foreign area officers, so 1 out of 78 roughly. And of those foreign area officers, about 400 or 500 are in training at different stages and coming and going, so they're not in utilization. So only about 600 officers in utilization at a time. Of that, there are so many majors, so many lieutenant colonels, and so many full colonels. In my career field for sub-Saharan Africa, out of 78,000 officers in the Army, there are 18 colonels. 18. And they're deployed all over the world, many of them in Africa. South Africa, we have a full colonel. Nigeria, we have a full colonel. Kenya, we have a full colonel. And just like that. So anyway, Liberia, full colonel. And so one of 18. And it used to be one of 12. When I decided to get into the career field, there were only 12 officers in that field. It was almost impossible to make full colonel. It was a lot of luck and good fortune, So making full colonel was difficult enough, but doing it in that career field was even more difficult. So I pursued a dream of what I wanted to do. I wanted to change the world, make the world a better place, and I would argue I've done that, which brings me in for all kinds of assaults and insults and attacks by racists and bigots on the far right and on the far left, who just can't handle the truth. Anyway. Freight Feline says, I want to thank you, Chris, for all you're doing for us here in South Africa. I'm truly grateful. Well, you're welcome, Freight Feline. I'm not sure what I'm doing for you other than bringing the truth and being honest with you. I hope maybe that's refreshing. Maybe that's what it is. So that's just a little bit about me because people ask. Sometimes, I've done this I think 4 times in 5 years. People say, can we see your awards? Can we see your ribbons? And will you show us? And every now and then I go in the basement and dig out a box full of my decorations and awards, and I just show some of them. I read off the citations, what they're for. That's not because I'm boasting or because I have a big ego or chip on my shoulder, but because people ask for it. So I haven't done it in a long time, but with all these new viewers, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a session where that's at. But it's Look, awards in the military and awards anywhere are a reflection of how people feel about you or how it makes them feel better. So they aren't always given to people who deserve them, or they aren't always given when they're deserved. Now, none of mine I didn't deserve. I deserved all of them, but there are awards I should have gotten that didn't get. I'm not bitter about that. And maybe, anyway, so it's just the nature of that. Oftentimes you getting a presentation of award speaks volumes about who you work for. You work for a good person that sees achievement and then sees potential to make sure you get promoted and that you get rewarded for what you've done. So anyway, so Afrikaans cool language. I've heard things described in Afrikaans that have me crying with laughter. Yeah, Debbie, they can be very funny in Afrikaans, the expressions. But I mean, languages like that. So Franz says, well done. Thank you, Franz. Appreciate that. Anyway, please like the video. 86 likes, 177 people here. The load shedding clearly is having an impact. Hey, Light Rain's in. Yeah, so I've got a few things to talk about tonight, and I'm going to make another video. It's interesting because people are going on about Douglas Murray, and I'm a bit disappointed in that gentleman. So Chris Roper, I think it's Chris, no, it's not Chris Roper, it's Bruce, what's his name? Hang on a second. Where's this at? Let me find this real quick. It's Peter Bruce. Peter Bruce, the editor at the Sunday Times, a man who's had a long and storied career in South African media, writes an op-ed, and it's rather insulting to say the least. And it's also juvenile. Let me tell you why it's juvenile and insulting, but let me show you what it looks like very quickly here. So there it is. He writes, time to check out of Hotel Trumpophoria. Okay, this is one of the guys that was pushing Ramaphoria, isn't he, back in 2018? Anyway, it took the U.S. President Donald Trump just shy of 30 days in the White House to reveal himself, if any more evidence was needed, as a treacherous liar devoid of principle, honor, or humor. You don't think Donald Trump is funny? If you don't think Trump is funny, you're just a lying ass. Honor? Really? Principle? Donald Trump has principles and he stood by them, and I'm not particularly a fan of Trump. So, now, he goes in this op-ed and he goes on, he quotes Douglas Murray, the British conservative, whom many of you actually love, I'm sure. I don't have any love or hate of Douglas Murray, but I do question what Douglas Murray has said. Let me just run through what I want to say here very quickly. So Douglas Murray, he said that Trump will not be honored if the peace, this is about Ukraine, because they're claiming it being an apologist. They're claiming that Trump is an apologist for Putin. And saying that Trump will not be honored if the peace is an appeasement, one that bows down in the face of evil as it denies obvious truths. The judgment of history will be even harsher. Decades of peace and prosperity in Europe and America thrown away to a resurgent Russia harassing the East. Without a strong peace, it won't be just Ukraine that suffers. It's all of us. That's the ultimate truth. Well, that's an ultimate crock of horse manure. That's Douglas Murray. So I don't know why people love this guy Douglas Murray so much, because that's just horse shit. And I'll tell you why it's horse shit. Let me just run through a small list of things that Russia's been involved in and or influenced over the past 3 decades. So this flushing down decades of peace and prosperity, what continent is this guy Douglas Murray living on? Honestly, what planet is he living on? All right, you ready for this? You ready for this? Okay, we've got the first Nagorno-Karabakh War. We've got the Georgian Civil War. We've got the East Prigorony conflict, the first Chechen War, the war in Abkhazia, the war in Dagestan, the second Chechen War, the Russo-Georgian War, the 10-Day War in Slovenia, the Croatian War of Independence, the Bosnian War, the Kosovo War. That's just a sampling of the wars that have taken place in the so-called developed and rational and sane Europe in the past 30 years. Every one of those conflicts has Russia's hand in it. Every single one of them has Russia's hand in it. And all of that occurred in the past. Not to mention the Ukraine war, in which Russia annexed the Crimea and occupied the Donbass under Barack Obama's watch. So I don't know what planet Douglas Murray's living on. I'd be happy to debate him about this, but this is just a lie. Why would you say this nonsense? And Peter Bruce, are you that unintelligent? Well, let me go on with what Peter Bruce had to say. Just to prove his point, apparently he went. So Peter Bruce is an erudite, educated, presumably elite, talented individual, but he had to ask artificial intelligence for opinions. He said, I asked Elon Musk Grok 3, the new artificial intelligence app on X, if it thought that Trump was a psychopath. It said it didn't want to speculate without being able to make a clinical diagnosis. I checked the answer with the new Chinese sensation DeepSeek, and it agreed. So Peter Bruce, you're the editor at large, and you have to seek artificial intelligence to form your opinions? What, are you just being a smartass? That's just silly. And this is the most idiotic thing of all. Another truth, now this is a truth. This is Peter Bruce's truth. Another truth is that Trump is himself anti-Semitic. Really? Trump is anti-Semitic. Is that so? Zelensky, the most courageous Jewish leader in office anywhere. Really? Zelensky's the most courageous Jewish leader. You ever heard of Benjamin Netanyahu? Is, according to Trump, a comedian. Well, he is a comedian. A war profiteer. He is a war profiteer. And the war itself is a scam. Indeed it is. And it was entirely avoidable. Language dripping with prejudice. No, that's not prejudice. Those are statements of facts. Are you going to deny that he was not a comedian who played the piano with his penis on Ukrainian television? Peter Bruce, you going to deny that? Are you going to deny that Ukraine has sucked away $280 billion of U.S. money and not given us the receipts? We don't know where the money went. No proof of it, other than the few burned out Bradleys sitting on the battlefield. Yeah, okay. And the war is a scam. It was unnecessary. So that's not prejudice. Those are statements of fact. That has nothing to do with Jewish. I didn't even know Zelensky was Jewish. Is he Jewish? That's the first time I ever heard of that. Wow. It's funny how Peter Bruce has to point out that he's a Jew. Talk about anti-Semitism. Why are you pointing out that he's a Jew? Didn't even know he was Jewish. Yeah, if anything, Trump's support for Israel is motivated less by affinity for Israelis than a dread of Islam. Yeah, we have 3 million Muslims in this country, and we have a fear of Islam. Not. What a clown. What a clown. Yeah, so again, I don't know what the love affair with this Douglas Murray guy is, or maybe it's just a one-off. He's the guy that fears Islam. He's the one that writes things that are anti-Islam, not Donald Trump. But Peter Bruce falsely attributes things. This is the power of people in powerful positions who have their hands on the tiller, who have their hands on the what's the thing on the ship there for steerage. Anyway, they've got their hands on that, and they direct the public debate, and they mislead people. Trump, anti-Semitic. The guy is the first one to comply with U.S. law and move our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, despite multiple presidents disobeying federal law. Trump did that. Trump is the one who restored sending 2,000-pound bombs to Israel to defend itself. Trump is the one who negotiated the Abraham Accords. What is this horse shit that he's anti-Semitic? I mean, this is a leftist trope. And Peter Bruce, you should be ashamed of yourself, even bringing up Judaism in here. Judaism has nothing to do with this conversation. Nothing to do with it at all. Judaism has nothing to do with the Ukraine conflict, except in the minds of liberals like yourself. Rudder, thank you, guys. The rudder, early morning. Yeah, he's the one with his hands on the rudder. Yep. Guiding us in the wrong direction, misleading you, turning everything into a Semitic discussion. By the way, Semites are all the people in the Middle East, including Muslims, not just Jews. Little update there for you. Kash Patel is confirmed, and he's already going off. And do you know what the media had to say? The first person of color ever to be the director of the FBI. Not a peep out of the leftist media. Not a word. Not a celebrating that person of color, just like the first woman of color ever to lead the Office of Director of National Intelligence. That would be Tulsi Gabbard, whom I opposed. But Kash Patel, I support wholeheartedly. These people of color in positions of extreme power in America and not celebrated. It's not even mentioned that they're person of color. What they do, they attack him. Basically, the left on MSNBC called him a house Negro. Basically, that's the words they used. Now, that's not a slur. That's an academic use of that, folks, so get over yourselves. That's what they called him. That's basically what they said. Unbelievable. They had some Indian clown on there who used vile language to describe Kash Patel as basically a house Negro. Yep, that's what they decided. Shameful conduct. Unbelievable. Escalation to stage 6. Yep, regret to announce stage 6. Yep, that's why nobody's watching. They lied. They sent all the coal to China. Douglas Murray is good with reporting on Middle East, Israel, and some good feedback against the NC. That may very well be the case, Mars Fenter, and I'm not disputing that. I've read some of his stuff, but he definitely is anti-Islam. That's a fact. I'm not criticizing or promoting that, just stating the fact. But this nonsense about what he said about Trump is utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Did you ever visit the Marine House in Rondebosch? Later moved to Greenpoint back in the day. No, never seen it, copy. Don't know what that is. Why would there be a Marine House in Rondebosch? It's not by the water. Interesting. No, don't know that. Which Marine House? You talking about the Marines who support the, is this a South African maritime thing, or is it something to do with the Marine Security Guard detachment that protects the consulate? Copy. No, I don't know that. It's news to me. Rick Truder's here. Welcome to you, Rick. Yeah, stage 6 load shedding. Yeah, but there is no load shedding in South Africa, folks. There's no load shedding. There's no crying in baseball. Yeah, there you go. Derek, he is a secular Jew. I didn't even know he's a Jew. It's news to me. I think the people the world over should love Kash Patel. The guy's brilliant. He's one of the most qualified people to ever be the director of the FBI, and they tried to rubbish. He's not qualified. Are you serious? The guy's an attorney. He's worked in the Department of Defense. He's worked in the justice system. The guy's got a long story career in private sector and in government. One of the most qualified people to ever go. But because he's an Indian, he's brown, they don't like him. If he was a Democrat and Indian brown, they'd love him. They promote him. Oh, look at him. Oh, look at the first person of color. No, they don't care. They don't care. Instead, they want their Muellers and all the other scumbags who misled America. Video up last night. Yeah, he was with Tucker. Yes, oh my God, we know that. He was with Tucker Carlson. So, they say stage 3, but now it's stage 6. Escom announced immediate stage 3 loading. That was earlier today. Yeah, now it's going to be stage 6. Continue until further notice. Wow. Stage 3, following 20 days of uninterrupted power supply. Wow. Escom spokesman Daphne Moquena, as promised, Escom since replenished these reserves with dam levels fully replenished and open cycle gas turbines adequately recovered, ensuring a stable supply. In January, they celebrated going 300 days without load shedding, and they were aiming for a year. Of course, that was a lie, too. There was load shedding. They called it load reduction. It's still load shedding. Okay, so now 6 later. Yep, this is crazy. Yep. Mount Pros is running low on diesel to keep the power on. They were guarding the embassy in Forshire, Cape Town. Used to watch baseball there. Yeah, it's not an embassy, Cappy. It's a consulate, but I appreciate where you come from. We only have one embassy per country. That's in Hatfield. That's a consular section down there. People informally call it the embassy, but I've been there. Yeah, they were the Marines watching it. I don't know where their Marine house is now. Used to go there, the Marine house. Often my brother-in-law was a Marine there. Oh, okay. Thank you for that copy. Yeah, no, I never went to Marine house. My time at working at the consular section in Cape Town was limited to a couple conferences that I attended down there and a couple events, but I didn't work there. I wasn't stationed there. I was stationed elsewhere in Africa. Yeah, so I've spent a lot more time at our embassy in Hatfield than I have there. And I've never been to our consulate in Durban or Joburg. I've just driven by the one in Joburg. Rainier von Rensburg says, thanks for your brilliant contribution, being straightforward and honest. Well, all I know back in history, the ANC can come with changes, definitely not truthful, honest. I've always been agenda. Yep. Yeah, consulate. Yep, it's a consulate. It's a beautiful building, though. Have you been to the building? Copy. It's gorgeous. It has a nice setback, really lovely location. Please help clear up that there is no list of people can be put on and be first to go to America, claiming to have all kinds of info charging people. I don't know what you're talking about, Teresa. There is no list of people. Again, look, I've done all I can. I have told as many people as I can. I've made as many videos as I can about this. I've urged people to be cautious. If people refuse to listen, if people don't find my content because it's suppressed or people hide it or you don't share it or they make their own mistakes, that's on them. My empathy is going to be very low for people who are foolish enough to be hoodwinked. I will state unequivocally here again tonight, there is no list for refugees to America. It does not exist. There is no program for refugees to come to America. It does not exist. The president has given orders in an given direction, executive order on the 7th of February for the Department of State and Department of Homeland Security to create a program to prioritize refugee arrivals from South Africa from a class of people which he identified as Afrikaners suffering racial persecution. That's what he said. It's in the order. That's very clear. However, no such program exists. So anybody that's telling you, we'll get you priority placement or we will pay us, we'll get your application. There's no place to put your application. No program exists. And people are going to try to sharpshoot and say, but Chris, I can go to the USCIS site and there's the form, the IF whatever form. I can download it and send in. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Fill out the form and send it in. You and 7.6 million other refugees in Africa. See what it gets you. Lost in the static out there. Wait until the program's up. And if you're going to someone that's offering to pay, it's a scam. It's a scam. Now, they might not be cheating you. They might be doing a service for you, but they're doing what you can do. First off, they're telling you it'll never happen. Don't believe that. That's nonsense. We take in refugees every year from Africa and around the world. The number is limited, but we take them in. That's number one. Number two, they're telling you that you're going to have to pay. That's horse manure. There's no cost to a refugee program. You know, refugees are people who are fleeing from conflict, who are persecuted, fleeing gang rapes and oppressment and child soldiers and warfare and bombs and mortars. They're running. Many don't have documents. They flee to neighboring countries where they hide in camps, often run by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR. They don't pay for that. Nobody pays to be a refugee to come to America. That's a lie. And you need to use the right terminology. So you need to be clear about this. If you apply for the refugee program when it is published and made available to South Africans of whatever descent, you will be applying to be a refugee, not an asylum seeker. You're not an asylum seeker. There are similarities, but legally they're completely different. You are not immigrating to America. I know this is hard for people, especially not first language English speakers, to understand, but you are not coming. They are legal definitions. You are not an immigrant. I mean, technically, colloquially, we'll all say everybody comes to America as an immigrant, but that's not true. The criminal alien invaders who violate our sovereignty, dropping all their documents to the Rio Grande, slipping into America, stealing Social Security numbers, working clandestinely in this country are not immigrants. They're also not migrants. They are criminals, criminal alien invaders, and they're kicked out now that we have a new sheriff in town. There are migrants, legal people like the H-2A visa holders who come here to work on farms and go back after 6 months. That's a migrant. Temporary approval to be here to do something, usually labor. Then there are immigrants, people who meet thresholds to come here, who apply to come here to get a permanent green card, and they're approved by the government. That's a whole separate process. That you need an attorney for. That's one that's very complicated. It costs a lot of money. That you need an attorney for. Then there are asylum seekers, people in the United States legally who want to escape something from another place, like say a Cuban diplomat comes to America, go to the UN meeting, runs off to police. I want asylum. That's an asylum seeker. And then there are refugees. The people who pay nothing are refugees. Nobody pays anything for refugee. Nothing. In fact, your transportation doesn't even cost you if you don't have the resources. We will pay to transport you to the United States. Well, we won't. The International Organization of Migration will, the IOM. You have to pay them back. It's an interest-free loan, but you're not going to have to come up with money to get out of your crisis. So when you ask questions about, can I bring my guns? Can I bring my pets? Can I bring this? Can I bring my furniture? Can I export my money? Well, that's not normally the case for most people. Usually they've got the clothes on their back or one little satchel, and that's what they're fleeing with, and that's all they bring with them. And they certainly don't bring Krugerrands and money and gold. There are limitations on all those things, and we just don't know. But I encourage people to watch my videos. I've produced 3-part series so far, one on admissions, one on background checks, which you have to pass, and the third one on financial assistance for refugees, all on my channel, all available. And the views are disappointingly low. So if someone is telling you that they're going to charge you for this, they are scamming you. No question about it. If you don't believe me, go do research yourself and find out what it costs. You'll find out it costs nothing. So, Teresa, I hope that helps clear it up for people. Look, I'll tell you right now, given the trust that people put in me right now, I could be making a fortune. Do you know that? I could be making a fortune right now. How? Well, because I'm simply telling you the truth and guiding you in the right direction. I could make a 4-page site and offer advice. I mean, find somebody that's worked in a dozen embassies. Well, worked in over 50 embassies, but been stationed in 8 embassies in Africa. Someone that spent 3 decades in Africa. Someone that spent 36 years in the U.S. military doing all this stuff, working with embassies, who worked with the White House, who worked with all the intelligence agencies. Fine, there's a few people out there like that. That alone, and my honesty and my integrity, I could charge and I could be making coin out the backside. But that's immoral. It's illegitimate. I'm not an attorney, and you don't need an attorney. Information is valuable, and I have the information. I present it in a clear fashion, but I'm not going to charge you for that. You know, people have been kind enough to super chat on my channel, and that's fantastic. But please don't super chat if you don't have any money. I don't want people super chat if they don't have money. Seriously. Earlier today, somebody in one of the groups sent me a message in private and said, hey, you should put up your PayPal in the refugee groups. I haven't done that because people want to donate. I appreciate the money. I could use the money. I'm not poor, but I could use the money. I'm also not rich, kind of middle class. But I mean, I could make a fortune right now. But how can I live with myself? How can I live with myself trying to fleece money from people who are desperate to get out of South Africa? That's just morally wrong. You know, it's my first trip back to South Africa after the COVID scam was in August of 2022. Dr. Peter Hammond, who's a wonderful human being and one who's prophesized across Africa as a Christian, is responsible for the Reformation Society, which is located in Rondebosch. And he invited me to speak there. And I've spoken on every trip back. It isn't always easy to coordinate, but we make it happen. The first speech I gave was about doing what's right, moral, and just in the face of injustice. Doing what's right, moral, and just in the face of injustice. And I was talking about my experiences in combat, my experiences in government, not looking the other way when people misbehave, and applying that to the U.S. and South Africa. And doing what's right, moral, and just in my book is what I'm trying to do right now. People can disagree. Racists can hate me. They can call me names. They can take my content and alter it and play games, but it doesn't change the reality. If you've met me, tell me I've treated you badly. Go ahead. Someone that I've met in person, say it. Go ahead. Never treat anybody poorly. Now, I may have been disrespectful and rude to you if you were disrespectful and rude to me. But, yeah. 27,000 illegals is not enough. 30 million would be a perfect start. So that said, now that I've talked about all the money that I don't have, or I do have, or I don't have, or I don't want, don't want, because people are constantly asking for it, I'm just going to go ahead and put this up on the screen now if I can find it. There it is. So if you want to help out, there you go. There's the PayPal address. By the way, if you send me an email to that address expecting me to respond to it, no, I don't use that for anything except minor admin things. I almost never check that email. In fact, I don't even know if I'm logged into it. Let me see if I can get into it. So, okay, let's see if I can even get into that site. Oh, I am into it. Okay. Yeah, and some people have been sending me some. What the hell? What's this? When is this from? Oh, it's December. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so people are sending messages here. But yeah, it's I don't even go in that site. Anyway, so that's up. If you want to help out there, you can send something. Thank you. Anyway, that's PayPal. But you said I don't put it up very often. Okay, so did I answer the question there for you? I hope I did, Teresa. Quag, I wonder if this load shedding is connected to the aid to stop. Has nothing to do with the aid. No. Nothing to do with it. Our aid doesn't affect your grid. All it does is part of it helps through Power for Africa get more off-grid power delivered to businesses and individuals. The grid is dangerously close to collapse. It is. And that's even after 6 gigawatts of power has been withdrawn from it. Good morning, Yvonne. Okay. Watch the video from U.S. professor, refugee and asylum law, and a practicing immigration lawyer. Everything Chris said from day one is perfect. Yep. Oh, yeah, you're talking about Evan. Yep. Well, that's what it is. It's resettlement. That's exactly what it is. The program is refugee resettlement. That's what it is. Can you run a poll in here and see who's been a victim of crime? Yeah, we can do that. Well, everybody's going to be a victim of crime. Let's say violent crime, okay? Start a poll. Have you been a victim of violence? Let's say violent, okay? Crime. Obviously, you're not a victim of murder, but someone you know of. I'm putting murder, rape, home invasion, carjacking, et al. Okay. All right. Have you been a victim of home? What the heck is that? Home invasion? That's wrong. Invasion. Bless my floater. My eyes mess up my eye. Have you been a victim of violent crime? I should say. Violent crime in RSA. Okay. Okay, there you go. Poll's up. That's a good question for a poll, okay? Saw Tom Homan at CPAC with 27,000 illegals deported. Still too low a number, okay? Wish our government had morals. Well, Kobus, that seems a fair question. Those words stuck with me and summed up this in a time of peril. Men of moral clarity rise to help. Well, that's what I'm trying to do, Dirk. Look, I'm not a perfect human. I'm not claiming to be. I'm not claiming I've never done anything wrong or inappropriate. We've all done things wrong and inappropriate, particularly if you're over the age of 18. If you're over the age of 30, if you haven't done something wrong, then you're living in a box. I'm not saying criminal. I'm just saying maybe I should have done that. Maybe I should have drank that entire bottle of Osbach. You've been nothing but an honorable, upright, and truthful person. And that's why I'm under attack, Sloth Puppy. That's why they come after me. They try to discredit the people who are honest and forthright. Yeah, it's just what they do. Teresa says, thank you. I give up warning people now. We can only do so much. Exactly. I'm Kuna, the Mr. Police, boasting about reduction in murders is like a husband boasting that he used to beat his wife every day. Now he beats her every second day. Exactly. That would be interesting. Hope Chris puts that up there. Oh, the poll, I just put it. Does getting shot count? Yes. That's a violent crime. Sending facts to zero in the dark. Father-in-law murdered on his farm. There you go. So that would make you a victim of a crime. Wow, you had bulletproof vest on. It's crazy you have to live with a bulletproof vest. Yeah, fighting age man arriving in boats. Yep. Well, look at Ireland. Did you see? Was it in Leicester or Leeds? I just saw that a couple walking down the street, and a black African walk up and he says, "I want to have you now," and he grabs a woman, and the guy pushes him away, and they go into this McDonald's. He comes out, and 6 of the thugs come out, and they beat the living daylights out of this white guy while people stand around and watch it because he wouldn't let the guy drag his girlfriend off and rape her. Did you see the video? This isn't made up. This is real. This just happened in the UK. It's unbelievable. Twitter X is a racism war zone. Yeah, well, it always has been, but the thing is, in the past, it was a racism war zone directed at only conservatives. Conservatives couldn't fight back. Now, anybody can be a twit inside of Twitter now. Yep, unbelievable. Horrifying stats, yep. Okay, 78% of people have answered. Presumably, you're all South Africans. Don't answer if you're not a South African. You just kind of mess up the poll. Yeah, yep. 3 people per hour. Isn't that shocking? Stories about violence, I can't tell, but it's almost daily thing when you live in certain type of community. Well, it doesn't matter where you live. People become targets on their highways. Remember the R21 that goes between Pretoria and the airport? That road, I remember a few years back, about 10, 15 years ago, they were putting cinder blocks out on the road at night to blow tires and disable cars. And then when people pulled off the side, they would rush out, grab them, drag them off the side of the road. And men and women, they would gang rape men, gang rape women, and rob them. Fortunately, they weren't killing them, but they raped them all. Can you imagine that, being raped on your way home? That's what a traumatic thing. Broken my house 3 times. My Amarok almost expropriated. 2 Hilux spare wheels, tires. Exactly. Yep, exactly. No, look. I mean, so this is not white South Africans. This is all South Africans who face this stuff. Try living in the Cape Flats or Alexandria. Yeah, this is South Africa, man. And the government has allowed this to happen. I mean, for no other reason alone, the ANC shouldn't be in power because of what they've allowed to happen in public safety. The primary purpose of a government is to meet our mutual needs. Security and defense being the most important ones. Security and defense, not SASA grants, not deciding who gets to teach what in school. That's not the purpose of government. That's the purpose of local communities. The purpose of government is to provide public safety and national defense. That's its primary purpose. And ensure a level playing field. Ants is in the lucky 22%. Mulray's farmhouse broken in 5 times. Tableview house once and business once. Yep, there you go. There you go. Skulk Vermeulen says, waking up to stage 6 load shedding. Yeah, we can see it tonight. Look at this. We had 650 people here a couple nights ago. Okay, my thing is frozen. YouTube, thank you for that. Let's see how many people are here now. It's much lower than we had past years. I know it's a Sunday, and that's part of it, but there's load shedding, so that's also a big part of it. Let's take a look. We'll see how it looks on Monday night when I do this again, or Sunday night, tomorrow night. So 230 people. Actually surprised there's that many people here given the load shedding. A lot of people are dealing with load shedding right now. Kathleen Barnard says, just got a message that we are pushed to late. Yes, stage 6. Yeah, if you've got comes to push, it'll tell you that. Alexander lives in the game for a year ago. My neighbor was shot and killed in his bed. His wife and daughter were gang raped. You told us that. Yep. All their lives have been destroyed forever. Yeah. And I hope the wife and daughter, aside the shattering events of them being raped, didn't pick up some sexually transmitted disease or pregnancy or something sick like that. Robbery, guns involved, clean the house, thefts plenty, many acquaintances, friends, about 20 hijack robberies, 10, rape 5, those who died due to lack of medical help in the state system. Yep. We have a lot of illegal Malawians. The Southern police extort them when they see them. You get bribes from them and let them go. Yep. Well, it's not just Malawi. It's Mozambicans. It's Zimbabweans neglecting hospitals. Yep. Yeah, somebody keeps sending me these heartbreaking stories about his mother, and I don't know what he wants me to do. I'm not trying to be callous, but, about how she's been neglected and mistreated by doctors in a government hospital. Been shot at twice, stabbed once, and my brother got hit with a pistol while getting robbed. He now has repeating migraines for 3 years. Yeah, Christian, it's insane. It's insane. Got this cool lightsaber torch USB ports, and you can plug your Wi-Fi in. Gives quite a few hours. That's pretty cool. Michael lives in a gang and drug-infested area. Last year, a guy was hacked to death with a machete in the corner shop opposite me because he had words to say to a gangster about a fender bender. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Snake in the house. An actual snake, Roxanne, or somebody that's a betrayer. Welcome, fellow Neanderthals and dogs. Dog the bounty hunter. Yikes. Answered poll as, yeah, well, that's fine, Keith, that's fine. Load shedding, milking the cow while there is one to milk. Jeez. Alexander's proud to be Neanderthal. Yes, a real snake. Oh, well, that sucks. Sorry, guys, for what you've all been through. Yeah, it's terrible. Yep. Yeah, at the G20 summit is over, the ministerial summit is over and load shedding returns. Yeah, funny how that happened. Funny how that happened. Wow. Funny how that happened. It's like swimming in a tank with sharks, except that you're disarmed and they've got better arms than you've got. It's crazy. That's crazy. Old King Red says the ANC's only proved that they should have stayed in jail. Well, that's one statement that a lot of people probably believe. Between the crime and corruption, it's like swimming. To minister means to serve, but the ANC thinks it means to rule. Exactly. That's what's supposed to happen. That's the definition of what a minister is, but clearly not the case here. By the way, let's take a look at those videos I've just done. The first one, Ronnie Lamola, that one's at 876 views. So it's behind the norm. It's trailing. But again, load shedding. Oh, 3,300, but it's still behind. 3,300 in about an hour. And then the other one I just did on the load shedding, the kind of, that one's at, is that 822? Is that right? Yeah. 828. Okay. Yeah. So I just did that one. Little snarky video that I made. Let's watch this on YouTube. So, okay. Hang on a second here.
Hello, folks. Hello.
If you haven't watched it, this is the video I made a short while ago on, put this one on, on YouTube a short while ago. Here we go. There you go.
Hello, folks. Hello. Hi, it's Chris, somewhere in South Africa, where there is no load shedding. There are no farm murders. No land is being occupied. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Well, thank you, Bill. There was no quid pro quo. Well, thank you, George W. Herbert Walker Bush. Somewhere in South Africa where there is no load shedding tonight. What's this? Maybe a torch will help light up the situation. Oh, look at there, folks. We got a torch on now. Yes, there's no load shedding in South Africa. The ANC has solved load shedding. As Cyril Ramaphosa famously told Bloomberg News in January of 2018 in New York on this.
Anyway, a little sarcasm there. Anyway, I hope you found that entertaining. Need a little entertainment now and then. I think a lot's going to happen for the new budget speech. Load shedding motivate tax increases. Garrett says this might have been asked before, but are you retired or still active in some form? Oh, yeah, Garrett. I'm retired from military service because you can only stay so long. I spent 36 and a half years. As an officer, I can only stay 30 years, and only if I made full colonel, and I did, so I was able to stay. The only people who stay beyond 30 years are select individuals who are general officers normally, and there was no general officer position in my career field, so that wasn't in the offing. Yeah, I'm retired from the Army, but I've been working 7 days a week almost without stop since I retired in October 2019. Initially setting up my consultancy to provide business services for businesses in America that are interested in entering the African market. But then the COVID scam started and I couldn't travel, so I started making videos to promote my consultancy so that people could see what I'm doing. I continue to research and write. Worked on another book after I retired. And I've been now writing for newspapers and articles. I've been a source for many publications in D.C. And I work 7 days a week. This collar is hanging down. This Woolworth T-shirt's not helping me out here. It was in better shape. Must have let it hang dry too much instead of the dry machine. Anyway, so I work 7 days a week. This is work. Prepping for this takes a lot of time. Making these videos takes a lot of time. It's not a vocation that pays me much money at all. Although what's come this month is from advertising been quite generous. It's good to see. It comes with the more viewings. But if I had the audience I have now and it was based entirely in the United States, I'd be making 4 or 5 times as much from advertising revenue because I appreciate people watching South Africa. Please continue to watch my videos and watch the ads. But I make a fraction what you make off because the South African market's not that big and the advertising doesn't cost that much. It costs more in the States. But I work all the time. I am a judge of elections. I oversee elections here. I have to election on May 20th. I have to participate in and oversee my team. I ran for political office last year and lost badly. Unfortunately, it cost me a fortune, my own personal savings, life savings. I devoted to it and wasted it. I'm the commander of a veterans organization, which I don't get paid for. It's volunteer. And in a typical week when I'm here, I spend 20 hours or more working on that at the building, at the canteen, and for the officers, doing things in the community. And yeah, I have turned down a couple of gigs, making six figures, to work full time because I don't really like that. And I do consulting still. So not this coming week, but the week following, I won't be here in my studio all week, except in the evenings. I will be at the Army War College providing consultancy service to teach general officers from the United States around the world about geopolitical things. And so that'll be taking place. But I won't be teaching that week. I'll be preparing for the next event, which is in April, late March, early April. So yeah, so I do that. I work all the time. Why not work? If you enjoy what you're doing, you should do it. Life is important, and everyone needs a purpose. So, yep. Did I answer your question? Where was that at? Marco Rubio did not go to the G20, but there was a U.S. representative. Was this just for the handover? No. We'll always have representative. I told everyone, if people were listening to what I said when I first said that Rubio wasn't going to go, is that we'll still be represented. There'll be somebody there. And there was. The charge d'affaires from Pretoria, who was filling in for the absence of an ambassador. She, Brown is her name, I think it is. She was there. And we had other people there. Just as lower level delegation. There was no way of skipping it. 13,000 outstanding surgeries is Steve Biko. There's no way to help people. That's the best state hospital. Good God. Getting nervous that Trump has been very quiet since executive order. He hasn't been very quiet, Teresa. Hasn't been very quiet at all. Not very quiet at all. Trump has been busy. As I keep telling you, South Africa doesn't matter. South Africa is unimportant to everybody except South Africans and the Chinese who want your minerals. So that's a problem. You got to quit thinking you're the center of the universe, South Africa. You're not. You're not. Donald Trump has been very busy. Let's take a look at what he's done just in news announcements. On the 21st, a fact sheet encouraging foreign investment to protect national security, America First investment policy. The president issues a directive to prevent unfair exploitation of American innovation, defending American companies and innovators from overseas extortion, unfair fines and penalties. When there were no illegal immigrants, there's no need for shelters. In case you missed it, departments tout results after President Trump's historic first month. A press briefing. That's 7 different press releases, all of which at least took a signature from Trump to do. It took time to sit around and do that. So Trump is not silent. He's quite busy. It's just that you just don't matter. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but you just don't matter. You're not that important. That's why it's so comical to see Ronnie Lamola and Guede Montasha and John Steenhuisen and Cyril Ramaphosa and all these fools run around and complain about America sticking their nose in South Africa's business and America telling us what to do. They're not doing that. We're just not giving you money anymore. You keep shitting all over us. We're not giving you money. That's stupid. I mean, that's the definition of the stupid thing. You keep doing the same thing, expect the same result. We keep giving money to South Africa, expecting that they would treat us fairly, but they treat us like rubbish. So that's just stupid. So we're not giving you money anymore. And oh, by the way, we recognize that you mistreat a whole bunch of your people, so we're going to let them get priority to be refugees if they want to come here. That's nothing to do with South Africa. That's our internal migration policy. That's our money. Nothing to do with you. And we're interfering? No, we're not. We're not. So no reason to get Teresa to get nervous. It would take time. And Garrett, that was the question. Can older Afrikaners possibly come U.S. rep? Of course they can. No, not as anchor. No. There's no such thing as anchor. You can't do that. Can't do that. The only people you can get over in this anchor thing is if you come here on your own and you have a nuclear family. You have 2 years to apply to bring your nuclear family over. If you don't, too bad. Too bad. Unless that rule is changed. Again, they could come up with different rules. Namibia is quickly becoming like South Africa. Just remember that with only 2 million, what's 3 million now? My house was burgled 5 times in the year I lived in Windhoek. That's crazy, Stella. Wow. Northern Lights are so awesome. Yeah, did you like that? Okay. Oh, Armagon liked the video. Okay, cool. Snakes are a great protection in Africa. Honestly, the masses are very superstitious. Okay. What about Aranya? Yeah, Marquis, I don't know that that's a valid assumption either, that you're going to hear at the 3-month point. I seriously doubt that. I suspect they're going to announce something sooner than that. That's just a claim that someone's making on the basis of no information. The people making that claim haven't talked to Marco Rubio. They haven't talked to Donald Trump. They haven't talked to any officials in the State Department or any refugee resettlement program people. None of those people. Reception and placement, no one's talked to them. They're just making assumptions based on the fact that Trump put a 90-day suspension on the refugee program. Just realizing if I make a list of how many times someone close to me or myself been a victim of crime, it's going to be a long list. Just, yeah, exactly. You become inured to crime. You become inured to violent crime. Okay. Veterans now much better off than veterans from the bonus army. Huh? Carrie McDowell says, no budget, no money left for their workarounds at ESCOM. We have solar, so it doesn't affect us yet. We only have to feel load shedding if it goes off from 6 to 12 p.m. Well, yeah, Charmaine, until someone steals your panels. My wife got held at gun, says John. Yeah, they are biting the hand that feeds them, Drino. They're just too stupid to realize President Trump is cleaning house. Let us be patient. Exactly, Rick. State Department is a government department. Wheels grind slowly. Good point, Dirk. Are you talking about... Okay, I know everybody don't like load shedding, but I'm at this stage that electricity is so expensive that it saves my electricity bill. Fair point, Marissa. Fair point. Yes, Ernst Rhodes talked to Tucker Carlson. He didn't bother to tell me about it, but then he has no obligation to tell me. So, okay, and your message was blocked there, Val. I just released it. For some reason, it was blocked by YouTube. I don't know why. Sounds like my life also worked 7 days a week. Working yourself is always like that. 7 days commitment. We are fortunate, though. Well, yeah, but I'm not getting paid for it. It's a difference. I get paid for the consulting. I make money there. But most of the other work, I don't get paid for writing for newspapers. I don't get paid. I don't charge them for my articles. I'm just trying to inform the world. I don't get paid for a lot of stuff. So load shedding just announced. No, it's not just announced. You're late there, Lee. That was announced. Wow. Sjorgunsen. Wow, that's a very Scandinavian, Norwegian kind of name, yeah, for sure. Are you from the Norwegian? Do you be eating a lutefisk down there in South Africa? Tell us about that. We'd like to know. Well, you're sleeping with the little feller. Yeah, no, I was sleeping with the little feller. We had some lutefisk and had some bad breath, but we still got there knocking the boots. We were knocking the boots in Brainerd. Yeah, Brainerd, Minnesota. It was fantastic. We had a great time. I noticed Shani Gross is not here tonight. I wonder what she's up to. She lives in Minnesota with all the Somalis and the Hamung and the Somalis in Minnesota. I went to the Mall of America one time. It was quite an experience. It was quite lovely. It was quite exhausting too. You walk around for hours there at the Mall of America with all these people from Norwegian and German descent, and now we got the Somalis, and they don't speak it right. They got the funny accent. They don't have a proper accent like people Minnesota got. We sound like those Canadians just north of the border, eh? Those people that play with their toothpicks on the ice. You know what I'm talking about? Of course, they don't say about. That's north of the border. They give themselves away. They're always saying a boot. I don't know where the boot is at. I have a boot on my foot, but I don't know where their boot is at. It's a bout, not a boot. Anyway, stage 6. Yep, no water, crime, yes, 3 cars, house invaded, held up at work, gun to my head. Wow. Yes, it saves until ESCOM gets the right to bill you more. Yep, for having solar panels. Now Musk in asking federal workers to prove their worth in 48 hours with 1,000 potential sackings. Might there be opportunities for you? There's always opportunities. I can apply for a job right now. Let me just go look let me get jobs, USA jobs for Carlisle Barracks, USA jobs. Okay, USA jobs, federal government. I want to go location, Carlisle, Rlisle, Pennsylvania. Carlisle, not Carlisle, United Kingdom, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Okay. Okay, these are all the jobs that are currently available. You ready for this? Okay. These are jobs available in the vicinity around here, okay? So I'll show you these. USA Jobs is the USA federal government website. So procurement technician, Library of Congress, anywhere in the US, that's $45,000 a year, GS5. That's about 10 grades below what I'm qualified for. Physician, that's $121,000 a year. I'm making sure these are around here. I'm not sure these are all around here. Let me change the search criteria because it doesn't indicate where. Okay, so CARLISL BARRACKS. Okay. This says these are all jobs within 25 miles here. Some of them are Carl ARLISLE. Okay, search. Let me see what comes with the filter now. Okay, here you go. So these are Carlisle, 14 jobs listed at Carlisle Barracks, a very small installation. United States Army Installation Management Command, that's $41,000 a year, GS 5 to 7. Child, Youth, and Program Assistant, entry level, $19 an hour. Another one, 19. Another one, recreation aid, $17 an hour. Automotive worker, $22 an hour. Recreation aid. Cook, laborer, food service, administrative support, supervisor. So there's no war college on here. I would have thought that. Let me try War College, Army War College, ARMY War College. Okay, U.S. Army War College. Okay. No jobs found. Last time I looked, there were a whole bunch of jobs there. Okay, let's go to Camp Hill or Harrisburg. Try Harrisburg. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Okay, all right. I'll move all those filters. Okay, there we go. So let's go for yes. Let's try this again. U.S. Army. Oh, that's not working. Yeah, last time I did this, it was tons of jobs here. So now maybe they've canceled them all. Okay. Nothing there. Anyway, whatever. You can just find tons of jobs there, USA jobs. Just I'm not finding them right now, unfortunately. They want my feedback. They're not getting any feedback from me. Did upload a short update concerning his interview. Okay. All right. I was recently shocked about the murder of the Springbok Pete Bester on his farm outside Bloemfontein. Oh, I didn't know you played against him, Joseph. I know of it. Yeah, no, it's horrible. Yeah, another one. ANC support down to 32%. Yeah, actually, I had some sources, but I haven't disclosed that. That told me the ANC support was down to 30% or less in South Africa. Rapport, is Rapport still around? I thought it went out of business. I thought they closed Rapport. South Africa, let me see. South Africa. Oh, it's still there on Network 24. I thought they shut that down. Yeah, there you go. 32%. There it is. They're becoming less popular with their actions, and they don't realize it. They think they get more popular. Dumb. Flux capacitor, says Cappy. Latest videos are not on your X profile, the X grouping. Okay, thank you. I must have neglected to put them there. I just put them up before this. Hey, Darty, what's going on there? Okay, what else? I missed something in the chat here. Everybody's retracting their messages. Better get a base job quickly before Doge starts relocation personnel on those extra military bases. What is that one? Cushy. It's very difficult to navigate through all the BS here, especially as a single parent. I love my home, but I'm getting more anxious. The area I live in is rife with crime. I'm sure it is, Cushy, and I'm sorry to hear that. It's terrible. Years ago, I did an accounting course at the University of Tennessee. They advised me this week to contact the Education Board to find out which states my qualification will be recognized. What USA Education Board? We have a USA Education Board? Never heard of it. Abby, good morning to you. Good morning to you. We were in the process of emigrating to the Netherlands. My husband was already there. In 1 week, I had 4 attempted house invasions. In the Netherlands or in South Africa while he was gone, Heidi? Oh, their final print edition came out, Laura. Thank you. Okay, so they're still. I didn't even look for them on. I have a subscription to Propaganda 24. I didn't even realize they were still there because I heard they were closing shop along with. Did Huisgenoot also close? A bunch of publications closed. Yeah, the magazine racks are empty in South Africa now. Communism loves capitalism. Imagine the faces of those honorable mambas if Trump were to say that America funds that's now being withheld will be used to support South African refugee program. It's not that easy. The funds are allocated by law, so he can't do that. Yes, Ronell, interviews lined up. Monday, it's Canthan Pillay on Iconic with Chris and Canthan. That's on Monday. That's a segment that I created some time ago. Let me find it real quick. That's not where I want. This is what I want right here. Edit files. Okay. Where the heck is that? Not finding it. Oh, I know. It's not there. It's over here. My bad. It's actually, I never put it there. That's a mistake. Okay. Iconic. There it is. Iconic with Chris and Canthan. That's a segment I created. We've only done like 1 or maybe 2 of these segments, but we're going to do one on Monday. So Canthan Pillay will be on. You guys know him from the Overton window or whatever. Canthan. Iconic with Canthan and Chris. Monday. All right. On Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, my guest will be Anthea Jeffrey. I was asked to put Jeremy Nell on, and Jeremy contacted me, but his schedule's pretty full, and we weren't able to schedule it. He suggested the week after, but the week after I'm doing consulting, so that's going to be almost impossible. I've been asked to interview a few other people, but scheduling those things has proven to be difficult. So that's the schedule for this week. I hope you understand that interviews take a lot of work too. So anyway, any hooker jobs for upper grabs, doesn't matter which. The only hooker jobs I'm aware of are on street corners. In South Africa. Yeah, that's what I figured, Heidi. Yeah, 70 Christians beheaded in the Congo. Why is there no global coverage? Because it's Christians. Christians and white people are legitimate targets for the political left, and the media is run by the political left, so they're going to ignore that. They're going to ignore that. By the way, how many news reports have talked about Teo de Jager being erased from the trip to Berlin? Any of them? Yeah, that's fascinating. I did this story earlier, and I shared it with people earlier today. So this is a bizarre story in which they have erased him. So let me get to this. Okay. So Teo de Jager went to Berlin, and this is around the time that the expropriation was dramatically signed by Cyril at Davos. So he's there, and I've got photographs, lots of photographs of him at the event. So here's Teo de Jager in the photograph, the South African delegation. Jan Kutz is there in the back with him, and see, they stick the white guys in the back, except for the Minister of Agriculture. He has to be in the front, but the white guys are all stuck in the back. And so you see Teo de Jager in the circle there on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, that's the same photograph altered to remove Teo de Jager from the image. Can you believe that? But they're not very bright because Teo de Jager's body still appears below the elbows of the two individuals in that blue space, which was his outfit. Yeah, so Teo de Jager removed from this, and it's very Soviet-esque. This is what the Soviets did. So here's two famous photographs, the most famous one being that of Nikolai Yezhov, the secret police chief, who was just removed as if he never existed because he was executed. And then we see on the other side, before that, Alexander Malchenko, along with Vladimir Lenin, was simply removed from that photograph, wiped right out of the picture as they altered it. That's what the Soviets did. They just erased people. And this is what the ANC is doing now, or the bureaucrats who work for the ANC and the government. Who runs the Department of Agriculture in South Africa? Did John Steenhuisen do this? Did he authorize this? And if you don't think that's true, folks, let me find that link where that's at. Do I still have it? There it is. Yeah, hang on. So let me bring this over here. This is the actual site. This is the actual government website. This is their newsletter. PO, the seed. Okay, here it is. That's right from their site. If you don't believe me, you can go download it yourself, and you can find this. I'm not hiding anything from you. Let me go ahead and come back over here and give you the link. That's the link to the PDF. You might want to download it before they make it disappear. Where are the news media reporting on this? Why is that not being reported by the news media? Have you seen any news media in South Africa pointing this out? Anyone? Wow, I haven't found anyone. Alternative media, Ronaldo did a video around the same time I did one. I didn't realize he did one, but we both did a video. I don't know who else has done one, but no reporting on it. So let's go back to that. Here's the article in their magazine, produced by the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform, and Rural Development. Well, Land Reform and Rural Development are not part of the ministry anymore. That's how stupid and lazy they are. That hasn't been the case since this cabinet was formed last July. January, February 2025, issue 21. Minister Steenhuisen champions agriculture innovation in Berlin. And we see all these pictures of all these people there. You know, look at this. I went to Berlin. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. And then we come down here, and there's the picture. Where is Teo de Jager? He's just wiped out. If expropriation without compensation is just the right thing to do, why would you need to remove Teo de Jager from this photograph as if he didn't exist? Why? The ANC are frauds, and there's the proof. Maybe it was a before the splash and after the splash. Living in the Netherlands in peace for 3 years now. No house alarm, no burglar bars. Car alarm is an optional extra here. Yep. Oh, you're in the Netherlands now, Heidi. I didn't realize you'd gotten out. Okay. Yep. They caught the Mandela effect. Where's Waldo? So, in case you're wondering if maybe Chris is just making stuff up, maybe Teo de Jager really wasn't there. Well, folks, I have photographs shared with me by Teo de Jager from his time at the conference. Okay, so let me just show you. Now, why would Teo de Jager be targeted? Because he spoke out against expropriation without compensation. He was a guest on my program. He's been in the press there, and he's been targeted by the government of South Africa. And you can't. Okay, so this alone, he doesn't want it. He's not leaving South Africa. This alone makes him eligible to be a refugee. Look at this. This is Soviet-style propaganda. Here's Theo de Jager. Okay, that's him with John Steenhuisen at a tractor, a John Deere tractor. And it's in Germany. In case you don't believe me, look at this. There's a license plate on it right there. See that? That's a German license plate up there in the left-hand corner. HVL LV40. There's a D. You can't see it because it's blurry there, but that's a D under the European Union symbol. That is a German tractor in Germany. Yep. So that's Theo in Germany. There he is with other officials and John Steenhuisen. There he is. And you can see that's a Global Forum for Food and Agriculture, the Federal Ministry for Food and Agriculture. Look at that. There's Theo along with John. And here he is again. Look at that. But then look what happened to him. He got wiped out, just like Yezhov did. Removed from history. This is evil. And the Trump administration needs to know about this. They need to know about this. Newly qualified doctors are in limbo. They need to be in the National Department of Health's understaffed hospitals, but there's no money to pay them. Correct. ANC learns from communists. It was very blatant and obvious. So the ANC want to do all us whites are racist from everything right now. I think you might be right there. Yes, his photograph was expropriated. His image was expropriated. Doesn't editor have final say? Well, Val, do you think the editor acted on their own? Why would the editor take the person out? He was part of the trip. Why would you cover up the fact that he was part of it unless someone told you to? Unless you were directed to do that by the ANC or by John Steenhuisen. I don't think John Steenhuisen did it, but the ANC did. 2 more people have died as a result of the KZN floods. Death toll now stands at 9. Cooperative government's officials say that 2 bodies were recovered. Ugh, that's terrible. Yeah, but that's what's going on there, folks. That's what's going on there. That's insane. And no mainstream media story on this anywhere. No mainstream media story on this anywhere. What's going on? Why am I not up to date over here? Is this frozen again? No, it's not frozen. Why am I getting a message? Oh, there it is. Sometimes I wonder if you're trying to chase us out with load shedding and water cuts. Me? Oh, they are trying to. I'm not trying to chase you anywhere. Okay. There's no load shedding. Yeah. Corrupt lying, gaslighting, pieces of crap. Exactly. It's exactly what they are. No load shedding. No farm murders. There are no farm murders in South Africa. No farmers have been murdered. There are no white farmers being murdered. Well, of course, that's a lie. I mean, people get murdered on farms in America. It's rare, but it happens. You can't say there's no farm murders. They just lie every time they open their cake holes. I mean, how stupid do they think people are? Apparently, they think people are very stupid. And a lot of people were stupid. They sit around and just tolerate it for a long time while it happened to someone else. Well, it happens to everybody. Let's take a look at the poll. 80% of the people who responded to this poll, okay, 80% of the people responding to this poll have been a victim of violent crime in South Africa. 81% now. 262 votes. So that means of the 262 people who answered this question on the poll, 175 people have been victims of violent crime out of 260. Actually, it's more than that. Yeah, it'd be almost over 200. Sorry, my bad. 80 is 160, and then 40 of that's 220. Yeah. 220 out of 260 have been, almost everybody's been a victim of violent crime. I don't know anyone that's been a victim of violent crime. Crimes happen in America. They happen all over. I've lived all over the country. I mean, just as an adult, not even as a child. I lived as a child all over the country, but that's not an experience I can relate. But as an adult, I've lived in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Arizona, California. Is that it? Maybe that's all. I'm trying to think. And I've been to every one of the lower 48 states as an adult, but those are the states I've lived in. Yeah. Oh, Georgia. I forgot Georgia and Missouri. Georgia, Missouri. Forgot about those. Yeah. I've lived in those 7 states, and I've never known anyone that's a victim of violent crime. But here, 81% of South Africans are victims of violent crime. That's insane. No load shedding America. I don't even need to sell my assets to go. It's an obvious decision on my horizon, says Bitcoin Boat. Hey, Bitcoin Boat, how's it going? Yep. Some hospitals can't even do their government. Doesn't affect government. They sit in secure houses, generators, added security in place, yet the people suffer, business affected. Yeah, because they're turning South Africa into the Congo. That's what the ANC is doing. It's turning South Africa into the Congo. It's sad. Yeah, while they send your soldiers off to die in the Congo. Unbelievable. Marty Nell Two seniors from VitBank very actively following all that is going on in USA because ANC makes me sick. All the one-side information discrimination gets me down. I feel unsafe. I understand where you're coming from, Marty. I'm sorry to hear that. It's terrible. It's terrible. Escom's new power source. What is that? A candle? A candle. Maybe the ANC did not have enough money to pay Theo for his appearance in the picture. Yeah, no, thank you for that, Floyd. I've got Escom's to push on my phone. I can check the times. I appreciate you sharing it. But thank you guys. Don't stop sharing it. I'm just letting you know I have Escom's to push. So let me find Escom. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Come on. I must have closed it by mistake. I think I closed it because I didn't want to get the updates. Escom's to push. Open. There we go. Yep. What I find interesting is there's adverts. There's adverts on the ad. I wonder if Escom's making money off the ads, or if it's Google. Can't even imagine a day without stressing about keeping my kids and grandkids alive and safe, especially when going to bed at night. My first incident with crime was at the age of 3. I almost got kidnapped. My goodness. Sorry, I'm late again. Been put on stage 6. Yep, like naughty children again. Will be out of order from 8 to 10:30. Wow. Reno says, would you reach out to Joe Rogan and have an interview? Well, you guys need to go to Joe Rogan and suggest my name. Keep mentioning my name. Go there. Say, hey, he should interview. He should interview. Because they're not going to listen to me. I mean, they probably get solicited things from lots of people. But, I mean, me going and asking for an interview, who am I? But if people keep going and say, hey, you got to talk to Colonel. Hey, you got to talk to Colonel. Colonel Wyatt. Get Colonel Wyatt. Get Colonel Wyatt in your program. This guy knows what's going on. You got to get him on. Get him to talk about South Africa. Talk about America. Get this guy on. If a bunch of those things happen, that's how I wind up. That's how I wound up on Cliff Central. People kept going to Gareth Cliff and saying, you got to have Colonel on. And next thing I know, I got contacted by those guys. So, yeah, you've got to, I mean, I wouldn't even know how to reach out to those guys. I wound up on Alex Newman's program because the same thing. Someone kept saying, Alex, you should talk to this Colonel Wyatt. And Alex went, watch my content. I said, yeah, I got to get Colonel Wyatt on. That's how I wound up on Caravan of Midnight. I didn't ask to go on there. It's kind of gauche to ask to go on a program. It's different to be asked on. Once you've been asked on, you might say, hey, look, I've got something. A couple times I've prompted my appearance on Gareth Cliff's show, Cliff Central, because I'm like, hey, like the night that the executive order was signed, I did my broadcast from 8:30 until 12:20 in the morning, and then I disconnected when I had 3,000 people on just to go on Cliff Central and go on there. So, yeah, and then I came back and did another show. 7 nights straight. That's crazy, Kai Kai. Not content with lobbying U.S. government over farm murders and land reform, the Saudi movement is now headed for Europe. It hopes to find more sympathetic ears. They've always gone to Europe, Jan. They've always done stuff in Europe. They've gone to Hungary. They've gone to Germany. They've gone all over. That's not new. Yep. Home invasion. Went to check. He was assaulted and stabbed. Lung puncture. Was hospitalized. Last attempted murder charge being investigated. Good God. Wow, you guys are scaring me. I'm not coming back to South Africa. Yes, it's romantic. It is. Load shedding is romantic. It's the most romantic country in the world where lovers dine by candlelight every night. Yeah. Even lovers need a holiday far away from each other. Hold me now. It's hard for me to say I'm sorry. I just want you to know, after all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. And after all that's been said and done, you're still the one. Chicago. I did not disappear during COVID Bitcoin boat. I was here. My channel was removed by YouTube over a non-existent, violation of community standards. And the proof that it was non-existent is the channel's back up. They put it in the gulag, and it's back. And I would ask you guys go subscribe to that. Let me go find it real quick. At Real Chris Wyatt. There it is. Okay. You're not going to find, it's called America's Pulse with Chris Wyatt now. That's what I've named it. So here you go. And you're not going to find a whole lot of videos on there. I've kind of tamped down a bit because I've been focused so much on this of late. But I'd ask you to go sign up and subscribe over there. That'd be really cool. Even if you don't watch it, just give me a subscription, because that channel was losing subscribers progressively. And then I had one big video that got me 1,800 subscribers in like a few days, and it stopped it. But now it's going down again. So, yep. So here it is, America's Pulse with Chris Wyatt. There you go, right there. So you see, I haven't put much up lately, but here's some videos on the mid-air collision 3 weeks ago. But look at the views, 243 views on this video.
Hello, folks. A very strange situation unfolding in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, where an aircraft apparently has exploded in midair based on video footage coming from the Kennedy Center. Aircraft traffic has halted at Reagan National Airport after a helicopter and plane apparently collided with each other. It is odd. According to data from FlightAware, American Airlines Flight 5342 from Wichita, Kansas collided with a helicopter, reportedly a DC police helicopter. Webcam video, as we're seeing here from the Kennedy Center, captured the incident. At the moment, all takeoffs and landings have been halted at DCA, that's Reagan National. Emergency.
So that breaking news, which had millions of views on other people's channels, I have 21,600 subscribers on that channel. That had 243 views. This was within minutes. That video was at 9:17. What did it say? Let me see.
Personnel are responding to an aircraft incident on the airfield, and they will update folks as stuff.
9:58. That was less than an hour, or a little over an hour after it happened when I actually got this up. And I got 243 views on it. What a crock of horse manure. What a crock of horse manure. So if you don't mind, I really appreciate all my viewers here subscribing. Subscribing doesn't cost you anything. Just go become a subscriber over there and help me grow that channel. That one's focused primarily on the U.S. That's the one I had originally, which he was talking about when I disappeared. I didn't disappear. I was put in the gulag. So there's that. Then I did say hello to Gitmo, 122 views, 200 views, 88 views. Greenland wants, this is ridiculous. Surviving Black Hawk Down. I did a documentary on that one. That got almost 1,000 views. But this is hidden content. I have 21,000 subscribers. You would think that a few people, my 21,000 subscribers, would actually watch this. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So yeah. And then here's videos popping if Trump won his appeal. That's the one that got me 1,800 subscribers. That's from 4 months ago, 128,000 views. Yep. But this channel is oppressed. It's hidden by YouTube. That was taken away for 2 years. It was given back to me, but they hide the content. I guess shovel-ready jobs is meant for the morticians. Oh, that's sad. Okay, when SAPs come to do their statements, not one of them had their names and force numbers and uniforms. Yep. Two-and-a-half-hour shifts today. Wow, Neville. Went to the ATM to draw some money, turned around, gun to my head, had to draw a max amount, and the African brother, still in arrogant way, said, "Merry Christmas" to me. Yeah, well, I don't use ATMs. I understand. When are you reaching your limited single? For what? Oh, for that song. From the one that I love, hold me now. Who gets 7% of the power from South Africa, never gets load shedding? Botswana? Botswana had load shedding. That's why I had to spend $50,000 per residence for my staff when I was stationed there. That's when load shedding started, 2008. Yep, I remember very clearly. I had to take $50,000 out of my budget, my operating budget per house, to have generators installed so that they would have backup power for our American military personnel. Message about Magnus Heistek and the economist. Yes, and that's one of the ones I haven't been able to get around to. Thank you for that, Dirk. I appreciate that. I did see it. You and Anna Marie sent me 2 more. That's 3 people. I got a lot going on, and last night I spent an extra hour and a half after I finished broadcasting answering emails and text messages that people keep sending me. I can't do all of it. I'm doing my best. So thank you for that. I did see it. Situation awareness is key to dodging crime, but you need to be aware all the time. Exactly. Okay, what else we got here? Okay. Ernst told Tucker the U.S. is part to blame for political dread we are in because they push for the system we have today. Ernst Roach is blaming us for your broken government. Okay. All right. Okay. That sounds like when these people claim that Ronnie Lamola says people are upset because they harken back for the days of apartheid. That sounds like that. That I'm not saying he said that, but that's an implication that he's implying that life was better under apartheid, but we had to change it because the U.S. forced us to. That's like the people blame Kissinger for your mess. No, the shit you're in South Africa is your own fault. No one twisted the arm of the National Party to end apartheid. They should have ended, but no one twisted it. Now they did it their own volition. That was their own decision. There's no Kissinger involvement here. There's no secret CIA involvement. There's no money withheld. There's no gold in Fort Knox that belongs to South Africa. It's all horse manure. They changed it. That was their decision. For years, they simply ignored what the U.S. wanted. And the sanctions aren't what caused them to change. They did it of their own volition. And blaming us for your mess is not our fault. Not our fault. You can blame the elites. That's who you can blame in South Africa, white and black. And I'll tell Aaron Stett. Yeah, that's not going to go well, Renell. That is not going to go down well here because Trump had nothing to do with that. And he wants to be lectured to about what happened 30 years ago. Paul Ferrer says load shedding out for counter population, but not the only population explosion. Yeah, please share me with Joe Rogan. Please do that, guys. Trump doesn't care what Aaron Schroeder has to say. I pretty much guarantee that. Reno Steenkamp gave 70 Rand super chat. Thank you. Super sticker. Going to be increasing electricity prices. Well, yeah. Well, they got to actually deliver some electricity. I guarantee you, if you change that poll to say if you know anyone that personally knows someone that experienced violent crime, the poll will be 90% of us. Well, it was implied there, Sean. It was implied. Found your channel during COVID, and there is such a sense of camaraderie knowing you weren't alone in a community of people going through the same things as you. Yeah, in fact, I remember Moon Dancer very famously on that other channel. I don't know if that's still there. Let me see if I can find, well, looking for COVID is not going to work. I'd have to go back and look at the oldest videos. I won't be able to do that because I'm not logged into it. But I remember when South Africa announced their stringent lockdown, I was in Pennsylvania. We didn't have a lockdown. It's unconstitutional, but we didn't have one. But like 2 days later, they announced we're having a lockdown. So before we had a lockdown, I was in a local little tiny park. It's like where a house used to be. It's just a vacant lot. They put a little gazebo in there and put some trees in there. It's a little park dedicated to somebody who was a state senator from the little village nearby. Anyway, I walked down there because I'd been in town to go to the post office for something. And I walked down, I sat down, and I made a video with my phone, and I put it on YouTube, in which I commiserated with South Africans. I said, we're in solidarity with you. This intense lockdown you're suffering is just wrong. Something like that. I remember exactly what I said. But 2 days later, we were in the lockdown. Okay, since Underwriter Reuters' departure from ESCOM, ANC and his corrupt officials have chosen to mask the evidence he uncovered and deceiving the public. Yep. Guess we should not complain about load shedding as Neanderthals were not supposed to know about electricity. True, Neville. That's a good point. Could be that we're experiencing electricity and water for power games. This pattern makes no sense at all. Just shows the ANC is a-holes. They raise the price of electricity in the winter, remove people in the winter. I can never understand why they do all those things in wintertime. Because they're callous. How can we get hold of Joe Rogan to interview? Well, go on. Where do you find Joe Rogan at? Wherever his website is, go find his website and bomb it with comments, yeah? I don't know. I don't watch Joe Rogan. I don't find him particularly appealing. That said, I'd be going to his program. Let's see if Joe Rogan, is it called the Joe Rogan Experience? Let's see. Joe Rogan. Okay. Does he have any links? Let me see. JoeRogan.com. There you go. JoeRogan.com. Okay. Does he have any place to put comments on here? Let me see. Joe Rogan Podcast. Okay. Watch now. It's on Spotify. Let's see if there's a place for comments. Nope. I don't know how you do it then. I guess there's no way to contact Joe Rogan. Got to be a way. Nothing here. I don't know how you get in touch with him. Don't know. Woody Harrelson, Magnus Carlson, Mike Baker, Adam Curry, Mike Benz. Yeah. About? No, there's nothing here. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Like I said, I've listened to him a few times. I don't find him that compelling. People love him, though. Suffocates. She died in a robbery. Good God. Stabs 14 times and they slit her throat. Jesus Christ. Grew up without her mother. Jesus. Yeah, I didn't go to CPAC this year. Still, my watch and wallet burned down our farm this winter. Ohio, Pennsylvania starts to sound more beautiful to me all the time. No lockdown, unconstitutional. Love those words. Yep. Oh, Facebook. Is he on Facebook? There you go. Go Joe Rogan on Facebook. Okay. Facebook. Okay. I've never. Okay. Yeah, well, there's got to be a way. Let me see. Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. Public figures. 7 million. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there you go. And comment. Yeah, go to Joe Rogan. That's his Facebook page. Start bombing that. Copy. Bombing that. And, you know, here it is. Tell him, hey, you got to get this guy switched on. You got to get the guy that knows South Africa, the American that knows South Africa. There you go. Colonel. There you go. That's what you got to do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Facebook is the domain of 12-year-old girls experiencing their first cycle. And blue-haired tawnies. No offense to blue-haired tawnies, but, I mean, I don't. Alex Jones, that'd be cool. Put me on Alex Jones. That'd be cool. Yeah, it's very disturbing, chappies, what's happened to these people. Their mother's throat slit. Sick. Yana Kruger says, thank you all. Keeping the faith. Yep. I missed England versus Scotland because of load shedding. Was it pissed? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Finn Russell missed 3 conversions. That cost him the game. Yeah, so I was excited when Duan Fandom ever got that try, but I was also concerned that he got in the corner and not near the post. Yep. Yep, there's the link. Search for Joe Rogan contact details. There's a form. Okay, there's that too. Okay, check that out. So you guys should go do that. Bomb him. Tell him. You can also put a link into my channel. Shawnee's there. You know, we were doing a Minnesota accent earlier there, Shawnee. You missed that? No, for sure. We're talking about Minnesota and Lutefisk because somebody had one of these Norwegian names. Like I come in early, put a comment down. It looked like it's from Norway. You know, so I wasn't sure. Is it really in South Africa? Is one of these Norwegians that's hanging out down there? You know, the Norwegians, they bring their lutefisk everywhere. It's quite nasty and disgusting if you ever smelled it. It's like they put the fish in lye. It sounds very toxic, you know, not something I can eat. We're talking about the Mall of America too, you know, spent some time there at the Mall of America. Yeah, for sure. And the Canadians coming down, we could always tell who they were because they would talk about things, but, you know, always said they were talking about things. And we don't have a boot. I don't have a boot. There's a boot on my foot, but no, that's the only place for it. Yeah, for sure. No, up there in Brennard, up there in Brennard in Minnesota. Yeah, we're big fans of the Vikings. You know, the Vikings, they're pretty good at the football. You know, but I'm not really a football fan. I'm more like an ice hockey. You know, I know it's a Canadian thing, but it's okay. You know, here in Minnesota, we're almost Canadian. The Northern Lights. We used to have the North Stars, but they moved to Dallas. Who would put a hockey team in Dallas? I mean, it makes no sense. Think about it. It's quite crazy. Oh, makes no sense whatsoever. No, my Oma, she was telling me out there on the farm, you know. She was saying to me, you know, Chris, you know, you should be a hockey player. I said, Oma, I said, that's for Canadians, eh? And she laughed when I said, eh. She thought it was funny. No, I used to listen to the Garrison Keeler, man, the Prairie Home Companion show. That was always fun to watch, listen to. Anyway, it looks like the load shedding's ending for some people. We've hit 300 viewers finally. Truly feel sorry for anyone that's lost the hands of the government's lack of protection. Yeah. Yep. I see Answer Oates was in the Tucker Carlson, another late arriver. Space is too small to type my experience. Aunt raped, brother murdered, not mentioning my family's. I'm so sorry to hear that, Sharon. Yeah, I know, it's insane. I just think more Americans in the world needs to know about all this. Sadly, a lot of people don't follow politics. Yeah, Reno, they don't. I've been reporting on it for years. And this is happening to all South Africans, not just whites. Blacks, browns, all South Africans, this stuff happens to. It's horrible. What do you think the stability of the U.S. economy will be in like 15, 20 years? Well, it all depends on what happens in the next 2 years, James. It all depends on the next 2 years. If we set the stage for reciprocity in tariffs and we get rid of and destroy and eviscerate this racist DEI bullshit and we do things on merit and we invest money into education by getting rid of the Department of Education and turning it back to local level, this country is poised to rule the world for the next century. Yep. But that's a lot of ifs. Pierre Rousseau got up late watching President Trump advance at CPAC. Yep. Wales missed a potential win against Ireland 5 minutes before the end of the game when they were short by 6 inches on a touchdown. I didn't see it, Keith. But yeah, I heard they did a great job. Would have been great to see them beat Ireland. That would have been amazing. Yep. South Africa will add great value to your economy. Maybe. Can't become the first state to learn to play ice hockey. That's funny. Afrikaner Boer met Kies. Just a shame the Constitution does not work for all people. Well, yeah, it's because it's the way they do it. All right, so how many votes have we got in the poll? 384 votes. Okay. Good morning, Veritas. We've welcomed Stage 6. Yes, I've told people that already. Do I think all the gold is in Fort Knox? I have no reason to doubt that the gold is there. Of course, they could also fudge the records, too. And people haven't looked at it in years. I don't know. I have no reason to doubt it's there. Join late, but going load shedding at 8 again. Yeah, so it's almost 8 o'clock in South Africa. We'll probably go until 8 o'clock, 15 more minutes. Aaron said interview with Tucker, waiting for it to be published. Well, it has been published. People are talking about it, so I don't know where it's published at. Is it on X? Let's go to Tucker Carlson on X. Let's see what he's got to say. Tucker Carlson, Tucker. Tucker Carlson, okay. Another stabbing in Germany, by the way, by these people I had no business being in Germany. Okay, it's Ray Dallo, Zelensky, Jeffrey Sachs, Viktor Orban. I don't know how people are seeing this already because I don't see it on Tucker Carlson's site. He's got 15 million followers. I have a hard time with Tucker Carlson. No, nothing against him. He's done some great reporting, but he's still, to me, the bow tie wearing token conservative on CNN 25 years ago. Still got that image stuck in my head. Sad is the part people in Parliament have no regards to the lives because more people died under their rule. Oh, yeah. No. Nearly 1 million people have been murdered in South Africa since 1994. Yeah. Is that the right number? It's over 500,000, 600,000, something like that. It's insane. It's insane. You figure 20,000 per year for 10 years is 200,000. For 20 years is 400,000. For 30 years is over 600,000 people murdered in South Africa. That's insane. A country of so small. Colonel didn't mention the $3 trillion in derivatives liabilities. What derivatives liabilities? What are you talking about? I didn't mention because I don't know what you're talking about. They're pushing to block all exports and imports from Israel. Can't believe they still don't see how Hamas is the problem. Well, Hamas isn't the problem because they're fellow travelers. That's their worldview. And they're idiots. And also they're doing the work of Tehran. That's why they're doing it. So let's see if they do it. James Duvall, the colonel, didn't mention. Okay. Aaron said an interview with Tucker. Yeah, wait, even police stations aren't safe. They get robbed as well. Yep, they sure do. Oh, a preview. Well, I didn't see the preview. Okay. Aronson Tucker had a 2-hour interview, but the video hasn't dropped yet. Think the video is going to stir again, as well as Zelensky if he visits South Africa this week. Should be an awesome week. Well, we'll see, Pierre. Should be an exciting week. We'll see what unfolds as the week comes around, but looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to hitting that 50,000 subscriber mark. That would be outstanding. We're not there yet. We're getting closer, but it's really slowed down to a glacial pace here. We're at 48,644, and at the pace we're going now, it'll take another week to get there. A week ago would have taken 18 hours to get there. So we need 1,356 more subscribers to get to 50,000. That's a big deal. 50,000. That makes you an influencer in my book. I said 25,000 makes you an influencer, but that many? Yeah, cool beans. All right, so where are we at here? All right, cool. Okay, so almost 400 votes in this now, and the numbers are holding pretty steady. Crime is everywhere. Gauteng is the worst. I have posted crime reports on my LinkedIn. What's that? Something Kruger. Joseph Fundamental says, we are. We are what? It's what they call stage 6 load shedding. Power went up. Well, yeah, no. What are you talking about? We've already reported on that. JP Morgan, Chase, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Wells Fargo failed fiscal stress test. Well, the fiscal stress tests are all cooked. It's just a way for the government to fudge the statistics. Yeah, banking sector was much better before they created the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, much greater before they put all this oversight with Sarbanes-Oxley and all this other bullshit. Yeah, much better, much sounder banking system. And also when we didn't have, just a handful of banks, when we had 40,000 independent banks in America 30 years ago, banking sector was much healthier. Much healthier. So, there's a manhunt on for 7 men who hijacked a ambulance in the Cape Flats in Khayelitsha. This is you can't have a country like this. First responders and ambulance respond, and they get raped. Western Cape police are on the hunt for 7 criminals who hijacked an ambulance and allegedly raped one of the emergency medical service staff members in Kailicha. Police spokesman Warrant Officer Joseph Swarboy said that according to a reported 25-year-old complainant and her colleague were both deployed via a local ambulance and a medical facility before the suspects appeared and ambushed the vehicle. At about 3:20, 7 males hijacked the vehicle and fled. The complainant reported that she was raped and taken to a nearby hospital for medical treatment. Ambulance was recovered in the area later that evening and that the suspects were yet to be arrested. Look at how they stripped it. So this is what happens. Fire and emergency services respond to things. They're set up and they get robbed, raped, and murdered. Look, I think that any emergency service vehicles ought to have armed people with automatic weapons and body armor in every one of these vehicles. And they ought to have escorts. Peter says, I'm far from your position as colonel and levels you covered. I became a major in 93 as a reservist in infantry. I did my camps as an ops officer, then 94 the system, my future in the Army. Hey, Peter, how you doing there? Ernst Cuthbert, good morning to you. Irania is not an option for all of Congress because only white people can stay there. That's a false statement. And only one religion can be practiced there. That's a true statement. That's the Dutch Reformed Church. You are correct in the second one. But only white people? That's not a stated thing. That's just an assumption by many people. Although I doubt any non-whites are going to live there. But it's not in their charter. But the religion is. J.L. Fanyasfeld lives in Witbank, im Halini. Not uncommon here, multiple gunshots at night. Yep. I specifically want to know which province is least affected. They're all affected. But Gauteng is bad. Lehman Brothers had subprime mortgage problems, and that's what happened to them. And they were bought out. Bad decision. No law and order with criminals and government lead such things. First responders in Soweto only have body armor. Load shedding has just been moved to level 6. Yep, you were late, Ernst. Yep. Hugo Basson says, we have several attempted break-ins because my brothers and I responded quickly. We spooked them away and the police know who they are, but leave them alone. Yep. No doubt about that. Please don't tell emergency services that they need escorts. They'll take it the wrong way and pay hookers. I don't think so. I don't think so. How can you possibly want to stay here with all that's happening? Those saying they will stay is so only due to greed. They need our money. Says ZA Gaming. Clint, good morning. I've not been a target of violent crime, but I've had 3 cars stolen. Well, that's a car. Okay, that's not a carjacking. We got you. Okay. Almost got taken out in a crossfire and had a bullet through my kitchen window and lost count of how many more breaking. Yeah. That's violent crime, whether you've been a target of it or not. Victim. Yep. Yeah, I didn't say target. I said victim. So, the load shedding is really having a deep impact on our program tonight, and that's unfortunate. But that's South Africa. That's really the horrible thing. It was a country that had such promise in 1994. There were a lot of problems. A lot of things had to be overcome. The education system for most non-white people, access to banking, access to communications, access to government jobs, all of that stuff had to be expanded to everybody. But instead, the ANC's turned into a gangster state. And the letter from the members of Congress says it all. Where's that damn letter at? I got so much here. Got to find the letter. Give me a second here. This line is absolutely brilliant. And it ought to frighten the ANC, but they don't seem to be affected by it. They don't seem to give a flying flip. Gosh bless, I got so much piling up here from all these different things. There's the letter. Garrett is under a pile of stuff there. Got the letter. So this letter just is amazing. This is from Republican congressmen they sent to President Trump. So if the ANC thinks that their problem is at expropriation, they're really not very bright. And I've been trying to explain that to them, but hopefully they're listening. Don't take offense to me calling you stupid. I mean, stupid is as stupid does. If you listen, then you wouldn't be so stupid. The Republic of South Africa is in an apparent need of a reminder of what happens when American interests are marginalized. Due to its numerous human rights abuses, its vendetta against the State of Israel, its embrace of Chinese Communist Party, we urge you to revoke South Africa's preference benefits under the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. We would also suggest you consider suspending diplomatic ties unless that government is prepared to engage constructively with our own government. the ethno-nationalist gangster regime in Pretoria, working to be the undisputed successor of Mao's destructive land reform policies, has for years attempted to expropriate land from native South Africans without compensation. Pretoria's human rights abuse against their own citizens constitute a likely violation of 19 U.S. Code 3703. Specifically, the South African government has failed to demonstrate a consistent fidelity to the rule of law. Violation of this or any other AGOA eligibility requirement would make them ineligible for preference benefits. Yep. Importantly, however, even the previous administration's own assessment, that's the Biden administration, of South Africa's human rights practices, found significant abuses, including unlawful or arbitrary killings, arbitrary arrest or detention, serious government corruption, trafficking in persons, and extensive gender-based violence, including femicide. Wow. South Africa is simply not deserving of duty-free access to the American market. I've been saying that for years. Colette Ruiz just sent it. Sent what? To Joe Rogan? Hello, Joe Rogan. Will you please consider having an interview with Colonel Chris Wyatt about the refugee program in South Africa? Please, we need your support. Oh, there we go. Thank you for that. Can attest to that. Some nights it sounds like war outside. We're wondering if innocents are being attacked. Other folks, please go there and post it. And then you might want to put a link to my channel so they can find me, or take my LinkedIn profile. Actually, do that. Let me give them my LinkedIn profile. Let me give you that if you're going to do that. So let me get my LinkedIn profile. Okay, so USA Women's Rugby. Jillian Potter. Okay, so here's my LinkedIn profile. You can share that with them. Let them check it out. All right, yeah, thank you for that, Colette. They tried to steal our car with myself, my daughter sitting in it. My husband was in the store. Security guard pretended not to see three guys around the car. Mind you, it was busy as well. Cast and translate here is crazy. Yeah, I've seen them. It's horrible. Does the U.S. Constitution apply only to citizens, or do foreigners with U.S. borders enjoy the same protections? Perhaps generic set of basic human rights. I don't give a crap about the United Nations Charter. The United Nations has no sovereignty over my nation. It's just a fantasy. The U.S. Constitution applies to Americans and or U.S. persons. U.S. persons are those with a green card. Whether it applies to those visiting the country is a whole different story. It's generally applied to those people, even illegal aliens it's applied to, but that's illegitimate. But the Constitution applies to American citizens and U.S. persons. A U.S. person could be a foreign corporation licensed and operating in America. It could be a green card holder with permanent residency here. Yep. But lawyers will tell you different things on that. So that definition has been out of control. Yep. Yves Lombard, thank you for your information and channel. Much appreciated. You're very welcome. We'll share your LinkedIn profile. Yes. Okay, says Estelle. That female ref from the Bulls-Lions game was probably one of the best refereeing that I've seen in a while. All credit to that lady. Did an awesome job. Pierre Russo, that's interesting because remember in the broadcast, several people were complaining about her. Look, I thought she did a great job with the cynical play, calling it, but there's no way that that turnover by the Lions late in the game, down around the 5-meter line, should have been a cynical crock roll against the Lions. That's nonsense. The play was dead before that because of the cynical play by, who was it, on the Bulls? I'm trying to remember who it was over there. But one of the Bulls came over and cynically knocked the ball loose and slowed it down, entry from the side when they were about to go in. And so the Lions couldn't pick it up and go in. That was nonsense. That should have gone back to that. Also, the first try by the Bulls wasn't a try. I'm not saying they wouldn't have got one, but the first try wasn't a try. The ball never touched the ground. And the TMO intervened and still said, well, okay. And he let her override him. That's nonsense. No, that's look, I mean, I have nothing against Amy Barrett-Thron. I think she's a fine official. But there were a lot of things. And then the Bulls with high tackles all day long. They were getting away with all kinds of high tackles here. And at the breakdown, she blew the whistle almost immediately anytime the Lions had any minor infringement, whereas the Bulls were entering from the side over and over again. Look, I wanted the Bulls to win. I'm not arguing against that, but I'm just saying that, a lot of people would disagree that she was a great referee. I'm saying she did an okay job, but yeah, there were a lot of things that were called against the Lions, which were unjust. Recently attacked by 5 taxi drivers. Taxi drivers robbed you? That's crazy. Someone was shot in the back. Brother tied up and held at gunpoint. Mall robbery. Jiminy crickets. Exactly, Peter. The people want to leave a racist. Well, yeah, what about the 7.6 million registered refugees with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Africa, in Darfur, in Kenya, in Somalia? Are they racist too? No, it's stupid. These people are idiots. Crime data you see on all the crimes dropped during COVID, even rape, they picked up again in 2023. Oh, links may be rejected. Well, then just tell them, where to find me. Totally agree. She had 2 or 3 F-ups, but still impressed. No, Pierre, I thought she's fine. People have different views on her officiating, so. Okay. If you all write the exact same thing, it's going to be obvious. He's going to think you're spamming. You need to write it in your own words. Don't be putting stuff on there. Hello, Joe Rogan. Please get a Colonel. You got to write your own statement there, folks. Look, if people send me, if I get the same message, identical words 10 or 15 times, I just ignore it. You can't write the same thing. Mother was at home alone in 2015, and due to the inside info, they came with AK-47. Mother saw them and was able to jump over the wall. She got badly cut on the barbed wire. With aid stopped, load shedding all of a sudden implemented. I wonder how long SASA will still be paid out. That's a good question. Well, Willem Janssen van Rensburg, you can sleep in this morning. There's no electricity. Your alarm won't wake you up. Julio Silvaki, mother was... Oh, that's the one I just read. Okay. Chris Haftis asked, I see guy completing forms. Should we do this now or wait? No, Chris John. If you're trying to get me on Joe Rogan, I'm happy to go on Joe Rogan anytime. Yeah, Joe Rogan, my channel would have 250,000 subscribers. I bet you we would zoom to 100,000 subscribers the same night that I appear on Joe Rogan, if I ever appeared on that channel. If I was ever in Tucker Carlson, we would zoom to a few 100,000. I guarantee it. The problem is people just don't know about that channel. Once they learn about it, then you get the attention. It irritates me that all these 20-something, know-nothings are put on Fox News as, content creators, and they don't know anything. They're just spewing conservative talking points that other people have told them. They have no life experience. They've never done anything. Never accomplished anything. I'm not denigrating them. Probably wonderful people. But what do they know? Tommy Lauren is famous for complaining about things. She's better informed now than when she started, but she's mildly attractive, if you like bleach blondes. And so she became famous. Yep. The best way to live safely in South Africa is not to have any outside influence happening. I worked during COVID in security in the control room. I thought it was heaven not to have so many calls and alarms, but it's because people weren't allowed to go out at night. Yeah, that's right. Marissa, yep. You described David Hogue. What? That guy's a loser. I don't know much about David Hogue. All right, well, we've hit the 2-hour mark, and it's 8 o'clock in South Africa, so we're probably going to start losing people to load shedding. It's back at this hour. Load shedding is back at this hour. So let me close a few things over here. That one there, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, my LinkedIn profile, White House, rapport. I'll keep the rapport open because I can use that later on. And the report from the Department of Agriculture. That Department of Agriculture should be an explosive report. The fact that hasn't blown up just shows you how corrupt the media is in South Africa. By the way, South Africa apparently is a step closer to being removed from the gray list for money laundering and terrorism financing. They've completed 20 of the 22 shortcomings, according to the Financial Action Task Force. They announced only 2 outstanding items left. So we'll see if they come off that list. Yep, we will see. And so the IOL, the Toilet Paper of Record, Iqbal Survey's propaganda outlet, has taken the time to pimp an opinion piece for the Chinese, the G20. This is our event, the G7, not this G20 is comical. Reaffirming China's commitment to global peace and stability. Insights from Mr. Wang Yi's address. Really? So, Mr. Wang Yi, China's foreign minister, delivered a thought-provoking speech at NASREC. Yes. Acting as guardians of world peace. China's guardians of world peace. These are the people who are ramming Philippine ships in the South China Sea and the Scarborough Shoals. These are people attacking Vietnamese fishing boats. These are people ramming Japanese fishing boats in the Sea of Japan. These are the people firing live ammunition at the shores of Taiwan, endangering public safety and the fishing fleet of Taiwan. These are the people who send a naval patrol to the shores of southern Australia and fire live ammunition at the shore of Australia and don't even announce their presence, which is the normal diplomatic norm. Yeah, they are guardians of world peace. What a crock of horse manure. What a crock of horse manure. This is the country that invaded Korea in 1950. This is a country that invaded Vietnam in 1979. This is the country that annexed Tibet illegally. This is the country that imprisons millions of Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps and harvests their organs and rapes their women. Yeah, guardians of world peace. What a crock of manure. What a crock of manure. Championing universal security. What security is China champion? None. Commitment to universal security emphasized not just the concern of individual nations, but humanity. China advocates for a security framework where no country seeks security at the expense of others. Well, China is seeking security at the expense of Vietnam, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand. Shall I continue? All of these countries are under threat by China. Wow. Defending multilateralism and reforming global governance. Well, of course they want to defend multilateralism because they can blend and disappear and all this and do what they want because nobody has the power to control the international order. And they want to reform it because they want to undermine it. China's commitment to multilateralism is evidence ongoing support for global governance reform. Mr. Wang. So that's not a commitment to multilateralism. That's a commitment to destroying multilateralism. Addressing the regional crisis, Ukraine, Gaza, and Syria. You address the ongoing conflicts. Yeah, okay. African moment in China's support for Africa's development. Call for collective action. Shut up, independent line. What a crock. What a crock. Well, apparently FlySAF Air wants to put Starlink in its aircraft. Yeah, the in-flight internet will depend on government and Starlink finding each other. Well, that ain't going to happen. Nope, the ANC doesn't like Elon Musk. That ain't going to happen. And they're not going to apply to ICASA for a license. Not if they have to give up 30% of their equity. South African airlines have largely sidestepped in-flight internet due to a combination of technological limitations and prohibitive cost. Existing satellite-based solutions require expensive installations involve penetrating the aircraft's hull, which devalues the aircraft and compromises aerodynamics. Wow. So they're watching the global rollout of Starlink for aircraft. Well, just put it in new aircraft. That way we don't have to cut the fuselage. My eyes have been open to how many is using South Africa to do the bidding of ANC government. Are there real non-biased reporters? Well, okay, Christian, the key there is that I always tell people it's not a question of bias, it's a question of objectivity. I'm biased. America is the best country in the world. Capitalism is the best economic system devised by humankind, hands down. America is a force for good in the world. Not under Obama, not under Biden, not under Bush, but under Trump, under the previous Bush, under Reagan, yes. Yeah, even under Carter. That's a bias, but I'm also objective. America has many, many problems. Massive debt, massive government overreach, massive overspending, oppressive violation of the Constitution by government actors who have yet to be punished. These are all real issues. We have some challenges in some of our infrastructure. We also have challenges in social issues here, many social issues in this country. But that's objectivity. No one's going to be unbiased. They tell you they're unbiased, they're a liar. Everyone has bias, and there's nothing wrong with bias. We come to bias as a consequence of learned experience, and there's nothing wrong with bias. It's acting on it or not acting on it. Well, Estelle, what I suggest is you go ahead and post to get him on here now, and then when the Tucker Carlson interview comes up again, then come back and hit him again and say, well, the Colonel's been talking about this. The Colonel can answer this. Also writes Joe Rogan, really don't know what all the hype about him is, but, well, he has 100 million subscribers. That's what the hype is, Cheryl. But yeah, and it looks like an amicable guy to have a conversation with, okay? China is the new colonial master of, well, not Southern Africa, line of saying, of Africa. Yep. And they ignore it. They think they're like us. They're people of color. Most racist people I've ever seen, Chinese. Wade says, good morning. Enjoy my morning with no electricity or water. 3 small kids to take care of. Makes me the morning. Gotcha. Load shedding now, even though according to ESCOM, it's a push. We should not have load shedding. Exactly. That's what I said in my video. Spoke to someone I know who works on a work visa in North Dakota. He told me the nearest town has 20 people, of which 5 are Afrikaners. Well, that's not a town. 20 people's not a town. That's a rest stop. Good morning, Kristen. Starlink won't happen. Musk won't support. Correct. Almost half of Joburg load shedding from 8 to 12. Why all of a sudden are these areas the same? Because they've been running the system full out and they've been lying to you. They've been saying that they haven't been using diesel when they have. They've been using the gas turbines and overrunning them and they've destroying them. They're overworking. They're supposed to be emergency measures, but they've been using them as regular source of electricity because they're idiots. They're idiots and they're corrupt. And, you know, where's Koji Sensor Ramacopa now? At the Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana. At the Copa. Come on, Ramacopa. Yep. A little nervous about AfriForum and Solidarity visit DC. Many could use a refugee to start a new life, and that's not their goal. Well, Judy Siders, I don't think you're accurately describing AfriForum and Solidarity's goal. And I know both organizations, and I don't agree with that assessment. They They sell our coal, make money, then shortchange us on what we get paid. Yep. Allegedly, my maternal grandmother was American, except for my ancestry. Most of my ancestors congregated to USA. No brainer. USA would be better if it withdrew from all economic development treaties. I don't know about that. Do you know why China is firing off? To intimidate them in Gamma. Hey, there's my Zulu buddy. How's it going, LT? To intimidate them. It's a sign of power. Does the United States conduct live fire exercises off the coast of China? No. Do we conduct live fire exercises off the coast of Indonesia? No. Do we conduct live fire exercises off the coast of Australia? No. We do off of Hawaii. We do in the Pacific. We do in Vieques Island in the Caribbean, which is part of Puerto Rico. We do all those, but we don't do there anymore. They've stopped it. But we don't antagonize and go places to start firing live fire rounds out in the Pacific or the Indian Ocean. That's what China does. They're trying to intimidate the Australians. It's clear as that. They're not happy that the Marines are based out of Darwin now. They rotate. It's not a permanent base, but we have a presence there that's rotating through there. They don't like that. They don't like that at all. They don't like the Australians and New Zealanders are cooperating with the U.S. Navy, Indo-Pacific Command. They don't like that. And they're making it known. And this is how they do it. Good morning. You are Gene Autry. John Wade and Wyatt are all in one. Well, that's very kind of you, GB. Because ESCOM didn't get the increment, now there's load shedding. No, it's not because of that. It's because it's inept. They've been hanging on. Yep. The angry, naughty children, which is what I've always called them. Been interesting going back to bed for some. What's this? I'm going to work on an article when I get done here rather than go to bed. I'll stick the boob tube on in the background while I write my article because it's been 5 nights now since I got back to it. I've had something going on. Every morning I've had to get up for an interview the past several days in an odd hour and not get any sleep. So tonight I got some sleep earlier and I have time to write these articles, or this article tonight. I've got ideas for a few more articles. So 344 people currently here, 322 likes. We're approaching 2,000 views. Now it's becoming a 7 single. Keep the kernel up. You're going to be getting a full record soon. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, if you want that, you want another song. There we go. You want another song? I'll give you another song. What happened there? Come on. That's useless. That's useless. Okay, I got to get it from somewhere else. Let's see if it comes up here. You ready for this? You ready for this? Get ready for this. You thought that was something.
Du wolltest dir bloß den Abend vertreiben und nicht gerade allein gehen und rief bei mir an. Wir waren nur Freunde und wollten's auch bleiben. Ich dachte nicht im Traum, dass was passieren kann. Ich weiß nicht, wie ewig wir zwei uns schon kennen. Deine Eltern sind mit mein damals Kegeln gefahren. Wir bleiben zu Haus, du schließt ein vom Fernsehen. Wir waren ein Geschwister in all deinen Jahren. 1000-mal berührt, 1000-mal ist nichts passiert. 1000 und einer nackt und dann hast Zoom gemacht. Erinnerst du dich? Wir haben Indianer gespielt und uns an Fasching in die Büsche versteckt. Was war eigentlich los? Wir haben nie was geführt. Klaus Lager, 1000 und eine Nackt. It's been a while since I did those lyrics. Any of you on Starmer visiting Trump this weekend? Yes, he will kiss the ring, and Keir Starmer will have to apologize and promise to stop imprisoning British people for expressing their opinion. But Trump's still going to make him pay. Good morning, Niels Brits. That's my view on that. This is crazy. Thank you. You heard it here out of the horse's mouth. Chris does get sleep. Well, I did today, first time in ages. Why is the state of the USA? Why is the change to be placed there as an Afrikaner? What is the chance to be placed there? Reno, why would you want to live there? It's unbelievably expensive. It's remote. It's unbelievably expensive. I don't know. I think it's pretty low. Refugee placements. Oh, where is that report? I got to find the report. I don't have it handy. So downloads. Let's just do it this way. Maybe I can find it faster. Asterisk.pdf. You guys have no idea the thousands of things I pull up here. Agriculture, bills, commercial. There it is. U.S. Refugee Report. Okay, so let me find this. Refugee arrivals. Admissions U.S. 61. Page 61. That was actually quick. Got that. 45. Come on. 57. 61. Okay. Country of origin.
So I want where they go. Here we go. All right, I'll tell you. So I can show you exactly. I don't even have to guess around. I'm going to move this over here. Okay, this is from the most recent report, which has the 2022 stats in it, the 2024 report that the Biden regime submitted to Congress, because the president has to give a report to Congress about this program every year. This will tell you exactly how many people who were refugees in 2024 or 2022 and where they went, okay? So we'll see if Hawaii even shows up here. I don't think that's not right. I don't think it even shows up in here, so let's take a look. Here it is. I'll try to zoom in. Okay, refugee arrivals by state. Okay. California had the most at 2178. Texas, New York, Kentucky, Washington. Work our way down. No Hawaii, no Hawaii, no Hawaii. Iowa, Maryland, Idaho, Utah, New Jersey, Maine. I think your chances are pretty slim. Not one person was located in Hawaii. So I'd say your chances are zero. Zero. If you want to go to Hawaii as a refugee, I'd say zero. Because it's too expensive. They're not going to put you there. You can't survive there. What do I think of the government main challenge to Trump Court? I think he's an asshat. Was nicht Wow, that's okay. It was typed up wrong. Whenever Petro SA's BE and partners need cash, we need to get load shedding. Guaidó Matash does not want to grant Escom a whole diesel license to purchase diesel. Cleanly, it's an oligarch feasting frenzy. Yep, you're right. You speak and sing German well. Thank you, Debbie. Tausendmal berührt, tausendmal ist nichts passiert, 1001 Nacht und es hat Zoom gemacht. Wir haben Indianer gespielt. Yep, no chance of going there, Reno. None whatsoever would be my arguments. Hey, Natasha, how you doing there? Going to be an awesome week. Got to go now. My legs are getting numb sitting on the toilet. Pierre, that's way too much information. Don't need that imagery. Thank you. Cheapest state to live in, and where do you think majority of South African refugees be placed? Well, just given the numbers, the top 5 states, Texas, New York, California, that's where they'll go. Ohio, that's where they'll put you. Pennsylvania. Yep. I mean, that's the places that are big enough to absorb people. They're going to put you where they can absorb and where they have a network of 300 different NGOs and state agencies that sponsor people. Spent some time in Germany as a kid. His dad worked for national intelligence. Okay, Sharon, thank you for sharing that. What's the poll up to? Poll is up to 533 votes. Wow. Okay. ANC is just evil, corrupt, criminal organization. They're not a government. Thank you for that, David. My brother-in-law was brutally murdered at work at Algoa Bus Company, Port Elizabeth. Still no suspects. My daughter-in-law's sister lost her father and brother 2 weeks ago. Murdered. Wow. Wow. That's another reason why the population, the white population in South Africa is greatly diminished. All the murders. Every white South African that's murdered is less kids being born as a consequence. And Debbie's putting links into some of my videos if you're curious about the program. Speaking of diesel, that's why the government is not interested in fixing the railway. Exactly. Exactly. Nope, slippery pickle, not going to happen. West Virginia is relatively cheap. It depends. You can get land relatively cheap there in comparison, but it's all hills. It's not no flat bottom land for the most part. And yeah, it just depends. AI is recommending Oregon. Well, Mickey, if you are a white Afrikaner South African, the odds are you're probably, if you want to come here, a conservative. Oregon is not the place for you. Oregon is not the place for you. Washington State is not the place for you. California is not the place for you. Yep. What is Telluride? I have no idea what Telluride is. Hawaii is a perfect example of corruption. What do you expect from a state of the 44th president? Yep. There is a pipeline to... Well, pipeline for what? All right. So cheapest state, no such thing. It all depends. Trump on Maine's governor, have to love it. I didn't see what he had to say. You guys are seeing more U.S. news than I am because I'm busy keeping you informed. Anyway, we've been at this for 2 hours and 17 minutes. Over 2,000 people here in Nebraska. Sounds nice. It is in Tornado Alley. Well, the Bible Belt's an artificial creation. It doesn't really include Nebraska. But it is a religious area. That's the Midwestern states tend to be moral and religious by and large. Yep. Arizona, interesting too. Snowboarding gym. Telluride. Teleride's in Colorado. It's not in Texas. That's a long way apart. Long way apart. They're not near each other, so not even close. I don't believe this will happen, says Eliza White. You don't believe what will happen? The refugee program? Well, you can believe what you want. That's your prerogative. People are welcome to be wrong all they like. So, what leads you to believe that it won't happen, Elsa? Why do you think that this won't happen? Do you mind sharing? Do you have a basis for that conclusion? It may be a valid conclusion, but I'm curious why you think that. Donald Trump has followed through on every single one of his election promises. Every single thing he said he's going to do when he became president, he's done. So why would you think he would declare this and then just back off? I assume that's what you're talking about. Charmaine, wait, welcome to you. Railway system was deliberately destroyed by the ANC so that they could award corrupt tenders themselves and family for local. Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, they drew a hole in the house. They were trying to drill for water and they drew into the tunnel. God. Utah is a nice place. It's also a bit, I think, stressed for people, but nice. Rebecca Fundervalt, morning. Thank you for your time. You're very welcome. Maybe this term Trump can really rid the people of Obamacare. That's not even a focus right now. Not even a focus. It's trying to clean up the government right now. Right to stage 6. Yep, load shedding went straight to 6. Got around. Okay, Chris. Best German song, denn ihr Herz ist voller Süßigkeit, Sata, Duft, Brutenkleid. Don't know that one. Thanks for your time. Always like and share. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Do you think they would take the fact that one might be conservative into consideration? Nope. They'll take leftist wackadoodles too. If Bianca von Wyk wants to become a refugee to America, she'll probably qualify, and they'll probably bring her here. And I'd recommend they send her to Albany, New York. By the way, if this program does come into effect, and people are leaving South Africa as a consequence of, it will be fascinating to see who the big names are. All who claim that they would never take it up. Oh, I'll never do that. Oh, these people leaving, they're traitors. They're betraying the Afrikaner nation. Well, you didn't call the ones who went to Argentina or to Kenya after the Boer War traitors, did you? Because you're all starving to death, trying to recover from the murder of your families. Yeah, I'll bet you some big names who are Afrikaners will take the refugee program, and the people who are dissing it right now, dissing it. Do you know why they're dissing it? Probably because they don't want you to sign up for it so they can go. Think about this. These lefties are claiming that it's terrible and it's not going to work and it's going to cost you money and you're just going to go there and fail. Yeah, because they want to be first in line. How long after you've been placed in a state or refugee status would you be able to move to a state of your choice? I don't know the exact answer to Bitcoin boat, but I would imagine immediately. But how are you going to move? You got to have a place to live. You got to have money to get there. So you're not going anywhere immediately. You're going to stay where you're at least for a few months. So, yep. ANC cannot even fix and maintain the traffic lights. How are they going to maintain a complex power? Exactly. Just got to note that we will be without power the whole day. Yep. Helen Keller and Karl Marx should be allowed. If I let the Mormons into my house today, will that make me easier to move to Utah, or do they still need to take on additional wives? The Mormons don't allow for polygamy. It's illegal in Utah. And the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, does not accept polygamy. Hello, Chris. It's 8:20, and I only wake up now, not even had coffee yet. Well, get yourself some coffee, Caroline. Just make sure Pierre DeVos stays behind. People calling us traitors are calling their own ancestors who fled Europe traitors. Exactly, Alexander. Exactly. It's nonsensical, the stuff that people are saying and the way they're behaving. Well, she can see us in court. That's all she wants. But Trump has ended it. It's over, and it's been upheld. So she can take it back to court. She'll lose. Favorite drummer song is Wir sind die Gises Schwarze. No idea what that is. Okay. Okay, very informative. You're very welcome, Bitcoin Boat. All these no thanks responses may be why people think Trump may renege on the... Well, okay, again, look, I'm going to tell you something right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is not an insult. It's not directed at anybody. But if you think that the media lying in South Africa, if you think that politicians saying no one's going to take it up. If you think that the false claim that AfriForum and Solidarity are saying they're telling people not to go, if you think all of that influences Donald Trump, then you're a fool. You're an absolute fool. You don't understand what's going on here. If you think Donald Trump doesn't know what's going on, he may inartfully say things like they're confiscating land, but you think he really doesn't know what's going on? Good God. Ladies and gentlemen, look, I worked at the Defense Intelligence Agency. I wrote intelligence for the President of the United States. It was Bush, not Trump, but I wrote for the President of the United States. Every morning they get the most intense, detailed, and deep, thought-provoking intelligence products delivered to them from a host of intelligence agencies, condensed into very short piece of information. And then they ask for more information. And you provide more information. And then they get on a hobby horse, and that's something they want to go after. So, look, Trump knows what's going on. He doesn't give a flying flip about what Aaron Throat says to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's not on Fox anymore, and Trump isn't watching him anymore. Probably he hangs out with him, talks to him, but maybe he can influence a little bit. But, if you think that Donald Trump is going to rescind an executive order because some idiots in South Africa said something in the paper, then you really don't get reality here. It's an executive order. He can rescind it, but he's not going to rescind it for that reason. That's crazy. What's going on over here? Try to get something on my shirt here. I mean, why do people believe shit that isn't real? That has no bearing in reality here? Where do they come up with this? Making all this shit up. It's going to take 3 years. Well, there's only 30,000 people. Well, Trump is going to stop it because Rand Throats wanted Tucker Carlson. But Solidarity said nobody wants it. I agree. SA said nobody wants it. The ANC said nobody wants it. That's all shit out of their mouths. That's not what Trump said. Guys, you can believe what you want. You don't have to believe anything. All I can tell you is that my predictions have been accurate. You can take it or leave it. That's on you. Okay, El Marie, it's good to hear somebody has to go to work. It means you got a job. Can you recommend an African country that should someone not be able to become refugees, flee to when this hits fan? Botswana. Zambia, less so. Not Zimbabwe. Rwanda. Mauritius. Mauritius, good, high on your list there. Good choice there. Yep. Seychelles. What do you think will happen when the tax collecting, contributing Afrikaners are gone and Ramaphosa and Julius and Zuma now have to face each other? Well, first off, Christian, to assume that the only people paying taxes in South Africa are Afrikaners, when many of you don't even have jobs and you're not even paying anything in, is a false assumption. They make a major contribution, but the majority of taxpayers are black middle class now. You have 4 or 5 million black middle class South Africans who are paying tax into the system. Lots of them are government employees and such. So yeah, it'll have an impact, but people acting like, well, when the Afrikaners are gone, there'll be no money. Well, there'll be a lot less money, but there'll still be money coming into the government because a lot of other people are paying into it. A lot of Indians are paying tax. A lot of colors are paying tax. Yep. Yeah, well, JJ Pretorius, you're late. I reported that last night. Was this because the Afghanistan disaster? Or no, it's because he's DEI. General Brown, or General, what's his name there? Charles Brown, what his name is? He is a big proponent of DEI. That's why he's gone. Also, he has no plans. I'm not sure why he became the chairman. I'm not for or against him being the chairman, just saying that the guy didn't have it. So Trump said, bye-bye. Nancy keeps perusing with legal charges against Willem, and he ended up having a criminal record. I wonder if he'll still be allowed as a refugee. You talking about Willem Petzer? Well, Willem Petzer has not committed any crime, so the criminal record would be illegitimate. We've had this conversation. I've talked about this. If you watch my video, you'll understand what I said. Very simple. I'll put this link in there for people that haven't bothered to watch the video, which has been a lot of people haven't bothered to watch it. You wouldn't even be raising this question had you watched my video. So this video talks exactly about that. And so here it is. Only 13,000 people watch this. I should have made these videos the first night, but that would have taken hours to do. So that video tells exactly that. Many people are convicted criminals in a country that's oppressive. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. We understand how that works. I was a criminal investigator, a federal counterintelligence agent in the U.S. Army, badge credential. Did investigations of people. You look into derogatory information. Do you have a criminal record? Yes. What were you charged with? Treason. And when were you convicted? This date. All right? So we try to get information on it. Tell us what happened. Okay? It's obvious you were set up. You didn't commit treason. So just because you have a criminal record doesn't mean you're a criminal. We're smarter than that. We're smarter than that. Do you think we're dumb as the ANC? We're not. We're not. So, and there's no crime that Willem Petzer's committed, so that's just silly. That doesn't mean that they won't try to do it. Yes. Do I think it would be possibly assistant having a pilot's license converted from FAA license for someone to work as a recreational pilot? Assist what? Assist in getting your refugee status? No impact whatsoever. Your qualifications don't matter. The fact that you're a living, breathing, sentient human being is all that matters. Yep. Actually, first off, Giulio Silvaghi, you're saying what's scary is after this shuffle with the U.S., after 11 months, no load shedding, all of a sudden, no. That's not true. There was load shedding in January. You missed it, didn't you? Also, there's been load shedding the whole time. It's called load reduction. What they're doing is dropping sectors of the grid and not announcing as load shedding. Load shedding goes across the grid and they drop off sectors. Here, they've done it localized. There's been load shedding the whole time. It's just been lies. And if you believe that, then you fell for it. I've reported on load reduction throughout the past year repeatedly. Yep, it's never stopped. Okay. Okay. Well, my chat went way back here. Do you think they might assist people to convert their qualifications? Yes. Once again, I covered that, Judy. I covered that in a video. Covered that, absolutely. Yes, that's part of the program. I covered that under finances. Excuse me, and all the assistance that you get. Refugee financial resources, I did that 2 days ago. And Refugee Financial Resources, that's a video you need to go watch. Watch the video, and it will explain all that. Tell you about the programs, all this stuff. Child care, transportation. I don't get that. Nobody pays for my heathens to go to child care. I got to pay thousands of dollars to drop my little heathens off at daycare. I got to pay for that. You get it for free. No one gives me a ride. I got to pay for that myself. That's all for refugees. It's there. Okay, sorry if I did not see my message about the Veterans Club to meet and greet. If interested, sorry if you. What's this? Loretta, I didn't see any. What Veterans Club in South Africa? Sorry. Still working social media, trying to get short. Thank you very much. Would be lovely if they could be a vetting system to keep the lefties. Yeah, well, it doesn't work that way. What was part of DI? Large, huge sewage problems in Santon. Ugh. Okay, Chris, what do you think will happen when tax? Oh, that's where I was at. Okay. Thanks for an awesome podcast. You're welcome. The ANC keep pursuing legal charges against Phil. That was where I was at. Okay, Catherine asked a question. No, people will be able to see through that. We're smarter than that. Just look at the ENC interview with Joel Pollack. God bless it, it jumped again. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, there it was. Okay. Any Telegram, WhatsApp groups we can join? Yeah, there's a Telegram group. Wow, you must be new to the program here, Charmaine. There's a Telegram group. Copy. Here's the Telegram group. The WhatsApp groups are full. I'm not making any more WhatsApp groups. I mean, people are asking an awful lot from me. I do this out of the goodness of my heart, not for money. Sure, not for super chats. Any of those come in for a couple hours. Yeah, so not doing it for money. There's the Telegram group. You can go join that. I'm not here to make money off of people who are desperate. That's what other people do who don't have morals. Sean says my predictions are spot on. They usually are. Do the real fact checking. Remember to stop and pause and not spread a fake news. Being here is a good start. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people come in here and they're new to the channel and they say this. They make this statement. And I have to try not to insult them. I have to correct them and say, no, you're factually incorrect. That's not true. Okay. Yeah, there are people trying to race bait you so they can catch you on film right now so they can take you and get you prosecuted. So be careful about that too. Best bet is someone's abusive towards you, just walk away and ignore them. Don't engage. Don't engage. This is the longest Terry, Ohio stop on ZA. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, Daniel. Yeah, low reductions, lipstick and a pig. No, it's a strange question, and you have briefly mentioned, what about our four-legged friends? I have, Christian, I've talked about it several times. I'm not an expert on that, but a couple people who've gotten refugee status here previously in the States said you are allowed to bring your pets. I don't know. That's what they said. I wouldn't even worry or even think about it until a program's announced. And if you are going to apply for it, then you'll know. It'll tell you. Okay? First holler about the tattoo while driving. Cashiers all of a sudden have questions like, am I Captain American, whether I've been in the U.S. before? Mickey. You got a USA flag tattoo. I advised him not to, but he didn't listen to me. You dear sir, you have won the allocation of my last bit of power, and I will watch your first world existence until my, oh my goodness, not a happy camper. Jacques Nolte says, thank you, Colonel. Always insightful, factual, open-minded. Appreciate your work. Thank you so much for that, Jacques. I'm sorry I didn't get to it till just now. Loretta, welcome to you. Oh, for the meet and greet. Oh, the moth. Yeah. Remember Order of the Tin Hats. I'm happy to go to that. I know that's a big thing in South Africa, but I'm happy to go to that, Loretta. But I'm not involved with them. Someone have to set that up when I come. Tokoloshi says, you think the ANC will speed up NDR? I don't know what the ANC is going to do. They're in a real pickle right now. The ANC is they don't know what they're doing. The ANC structures in Gauteng are fighting the national structure. That's a big distraction for them. Jacob Zuma is still out here trying to get back in the ANC, even though he's been rejected, and he's trying to undermine the ANC at the same time. It's insane. One hand doesn't know what the other one's doing. This load shedding is to remind people of the incompetence. Exactly. My guess is 21% is mostly Western Northern Cape. You mean those who haven't been victims of crime? Well, there's a lot of crime in both those places too. Good morning, Roy. Debbie, Debbie's doing great work tonight, putting links in these things. As before, pets may not be part of the refugee program, but if you want them over with you, it's expensive. Take them over. Yeah, firearms is difficult. Congratulations on the channel growing steadily. Ride the wave. I'm trying, Tractor, but the wave has slowed down to a trickle. Needs to be honest about everything, even if you don't want to hear it, but at least it's the truth. You're welcome, Ernest. Yep. Oh, did you like the Hood Constantia? Isn't it a good video, Jan? Isn't that a good video, man? That is a really good video. I mean, look, obviously I'm biased, okay? A lot of people haven't seen that, so let's get the link to that one. Okay. Hood Constantia. Let me see what's going on there now for the analytics. How are we doing now? Now we're up to 1,500. You all going over. Thank you. We only had 1,000 views on that on February 1st. We've gotten 500 views, which is 50%. So please go over and watch that video, Hood Constantia. That was really well done. It'd be nice to see that video suddenly surge. I mean, it's still applicable today. That video is good forever. It's not time sensitive. So that's a Hood Constantia one. Okay. Thank you for that. Chris needs me. Okay. I found how from device to device what appears on your profile on YouTube differs. Thanks for sharing important links. Yeah, it does. It does. From a mobile phone to a PC to a tablet, it's all different. Yep. Pets will have to go through a quarantine period at the point of entry. That's not true, Holden Caulfield. That's simply not true. Not true. Not true. Who told you that? Where'd you get that from? I brought my pets back. Flew them back here. Tunisia. Took them to Germany. Flew them back here. Picked them up. Same evening. Right there. At the airport at Dulles. Walked out with them. Yep. Yep. I don't know where you get that from. Quarantine the other way. I had to spend thousands of dollars to get my cats to South Africa. But these cats came, no quarantine required. These cats came to the United States from Tunisia, transiting Germany. Took the ferry from Tunis over to Marseille. Drove from Marseille up through Switzerland into Germany. Spent some time in Germany. Then flew from Frankfurt over to the States. Landed at Dulles. These cats were on the plane with me in their own cages, and it cost me $175. I said cats. It was Prince. It wasn't two. I only had one. I had Prince. It cost me $170. Tara wasn't there then. The black and white one, Prince. Yeah, $175. That's it. No. And both of them came back from Africa. No, it was just Prince. Just Prince. Sorry, at Dulles. Not at Dulles. Atlanta. I said Dulles. Atlanta. I said Dulles. It's my apologies. From Frankfurt to Atlanta. And Atlanta. I picked up my cat right there in Atlanta. Yep. Or was it Dulles? It was Atlanta, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, there you go. And put him on another plane. So it was no quarantine. No quarantine. I don't know where you're getting that from. Livestock's a different story. But pets, if you meet the standards, if they're immunized and you got all the records and they're chipped, not an issue. Unless the laws have changed recently. Yeah, see, Holden is spreading misinformation. Arctic knows. He's gone through this recently. SCOM. And there's a super chat. That didn't come up. What's going on? Is the alert box off? The alert box is off. I'm sorry for that. There's a super chat. And that one's from Carl Erasmus, you're amazing. Thank you so much for that. It takes brainstorming and planning to finalize refugee program. Trump does not want to announce a plan that is not properly constructed. Yep. Well, he has nothing to do with it. They're doing it. They have to present it to him. Martin Fundamental, welcome to you. Okay, going off darn load shedding. Okay. Okay, Ernst doesn't like the DA. Ananda, I saw you on another program the other day. Load shedding. Okay. I believe some people overwrite realities. It's too hard to face the truth. Yep. Yeah, it's still the same. Thank you, Arctic. Yep. You can own guns, Timothy. I don't know if you can bring them over here. That's going to be a challenge, but you can own guns. No many members will definitely try and organize something special for you for the moth. Would we be able to chat via WhatsApp? Yes. What happens, Loretta, is when I come over, I create a group for each tour. Each tour has a name. My first tour was that I'm Not a Garden Boy tour. That was the tour. Then there was the, what's the name of the other ones? I can't remember all the names of them, but I've had, names for all, Make South Africa Great or something like that. But I make a WhatsApp group and I give it a name. So then people are able, the reason I have the group, and I don't need people posting links to videos and stuff like that, it's a coordination group. So it'd be a coordination group for organizing meet and greets, it'd be a coordination group for public appearances, a coordination group for people who offer accommodation, because some people do that, which saves me a lot of money. Yeah. Okay, Tokolochi, that's asked and answered 18,000 times. There is no similar climate to South Africa. This is a massive, big-ass fucking country that is huge. 3,000 miles, 5,000 kilometers from one side to the other, 1,800 miles, 2,000 miles, 3,600 kilometers north to south. It is a massive country, a massive, massive country with temperate rainforest, the biggest temperate rainforest, or the heaviest rainfall in the world in Washington State, Olympic Park. We've got Mediterranean climate in California. We've got high desert chaparral in New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, Texas. We've got high veld-like terrain all over the Midwest. We've got subtropical temperatures in tropical temperatures in Hawaii, subtropical in Florida. We've got mountains, we've got rivers, we've got deserts, we've got forests, deciduous, coniferous. We got it all. There's nothing like South Africa. Everything you have in South Africa, we have here, and then some. So, don't ask what's U.S. I mean, Florida is nothing like me. Right now, it's below freezing right here. In Florida, it's like 16 degrees. Here, it's -2. It's not the same. It's a huge-ass country. You need to pull out a map. You need to look at a globe and see just how big America is. South Africa fits inside it many times. And South Africa is not a small country. Okay? Sure you love those cats. Yeah, no, they're both gone. So Prince was, I'm allergic to cats too, by the way. That tells you how much I cared about him. Prince was an adoptee. I adopted Prince. That's him right there. He looked like a Holstein cow. You notice he doesn't have any ears. One of his ears is gone. The other one just has a little stub to it. He was in North Africa, and his son, they got burnt, and he'd always scratch him before I adopted him, and he cut his ears all the time. They bled constantly, so they got gangrenous. So the vet had to remove the one all the way down to the stump, so he just had the cartilage inside, no ear here, and the other one he took the tip off, so it was kind of weird. That's Prince. He's getting fights all the time in Tunisia. I wound up adopting him there, and that's Tara. I adopted her from one of the pet stores here in the States, because they, rather than euthanize them, they take them there, try to get people to adopt them. So they're funny. They were had their own personality. Prince loved steamed crab. My God, this little bugger would eat me clean of crab. He would eat it forever. He could eat his weight in crab, and greedy. He would beg and sit there and look for it. She would eat shrimp, and she loved shrimp. She would get the shrimp from me, and she'd run off and eat it by herself. She'd come back and look for another piece. Yeah, he would eat shrimp too, but he kind of turned his nose up at sometimes. Prince died at Fort Meade after I came back from Botswana in the kennel, because I hadn't had a place yet. I had to pay to put him in the kennel, and he died there because I don't think they treat him properly. And then Tara just died in Germany last year at the age of 23. So I'd left her behind with friends. Common sense, gosh, you're a gem. Breath Fresh Show. Thank you, Virginia. Please share the channel. Good morning, sir. I hope you're well. Thanks so much for your podcast. I saw a lot of homeless people in America on YouTube, and I just want to know, is it true? Okay. I also addressed it this one morning. All right. So, 340 million people. How many homeless people did you see? And those homeless people, why were they homeless? Well, in California, many of them are homeless because of the taxation and the zoning laws that force people into poverty, and the high rates and the high cost of living there. People can't afford to pay for a home. It's just too expensive. But my answer to that is, move. Get your ass out of California. Why are you in California? There are people with jobs who are homeless because they can't afford it because it's so expensive. Move. Go to someplace less expensive. Quit being a stubborn shit. That's number one. But most people are homeless either have substance abuse problems, or you have people, women who are beaten by spouses and out on the street and no one takes care of them and they wind up homeless. But the biggest reasons are addiction and things like that. And the other one is, of course, mental illness. All of that plays a role. So, stop watching those freaking videos. Watch the videos about the Grand Canyon. Watch the videos about the success of America. As I said, I know one homeless person out of at least 10,000 people live around here. Well, in the greater area, there's hundreds of thousands, but within the 5 minutes of me, there's about 10,000 people living about 10-minute drive of me. Yeah, 10,000. One homeless person. And she has some sort of mental illness. No one dares go near her. Walking in the park in the spring and summer times, I'd go by and she'd be sitting on the bench. If I stopped the time, she'd get up and walk away, disappear. Won't talk to anybody. I have it on good information from more than one source that she actually has money. She's homeless because she doesn't want to live in a formal settlement. And she stays in other people's properties and their outbuildings and their barns. And, sometimes she goes back to her place. But she doesn't have a home because she doesn't want a home. And anyway, so, look, stop. Okay, Morny, let me ask you this. It's not directed to you, okay? And again, these questions never directed to people. Ask them because it's a question for everybody. So I'm directing everybody. Think about this for a second. If America is so bad and there's so many homeless people, it's so fucking horrible, then why the fuck is everybody coming here? Why are we invaded by 35 million fucking illegal aliens coming to our country? If it's so bad, if it's so horrible. And if these 35 million people came here and couldn't make it, you think they wouldn't go home and go back to where grass was greener? It's all bullshit. That doesn't mean America is a land of milk and honey and it's all handed to you. But stop believing the propaganda. It doesn't make it untrue that there are homeless people. There are homeless people. But ask yourself how they became homeless. Are they homeless because of the government? No. Are they homeless because someone mistreated them? Maybe. Anyway, oh God, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. I have never accepted a handout my entire life. I've been eligible, didn't take it. Never starved. Lived in abject poverty as a kid and overcame that. That's why I overcame it, because I lived in abject poverty. It's not going to happen to me. So I took care of my bills, paid my bills, put my money in the bank and invested and saved my entire life. Took care of my responsibilities first. And I'm not out on the street. So, Morning, I hope that answers the question. E. Strauss says, thanks for joining the group. You're welcome. Reno Steenkamp, did I miss that one? 70 Rand. Tion folks, 40 Rand. Tulsa, you can have Oklahoma. I've been there. It's kind of boring. Okay. Guns are easy. You need a SAPS export certificate, then you can take them. Some people are waiting for SAPS for 4 years now. Yeah, he's being facetious. They're not easy. You should get Evan Galopter on your show. Who is Evan Galopter? Are you talking about the lawyer? Is that who you're talking about, Sanel? The build of nuclear power stations like Kuberg has been approved years ago, but the government, yeah, exactly, opposed it because of stupid green energy. Well, nuclear power is green energy. That's the silly thing. Icecom just hit me. No sleep last night. Load shedding. Adorable. Very special, memorable frame. Yep. USA is so big, there are 9 recognized area zones where you can plant different vegetable flowers. Insanely big. Yep. And another super chat from Nick for the awesome dressing down rant. Well, it wasn't dressing down. It's for everybody. It wasn't directed to that person. Teresa Odendahl, did you see the seminar? No, I didn't see it. What are they possibly going to tell you? There's no other information. The only thing they're going to tell you is the stuff I've told you, I imagine. If I have time, I'll go watch it. Gary Kronko says, it's funny how the load shedding is starting again straight after Trump. Yeah, they're unrelated, though. Oh, here comes some memberships from Nick, probably. No, Debbie gifted them. Okay. Sitting on farm last night, no power for 4 hours. Gerardus Pretorius, welcome to you. Went off the list in 2000. They vaxxed me at the airport, and I was violently ill. I still don't know what the vax was. Vaxxed you for what? We don't give vaccinations at airports. What are you talking about, quintessential organics? Vaxxed you for what? We don't give vaccinations. I've flown back and forth to the United States not thousands, hundreds of times. I've never been vaccinated. You have to have a vaccination to get into a country. Where were you flying? Tanzania? Were you flying to South Africa and you didn't have a yellow fever one? We're not a yellow fever zone. That doesn't make any sense. Who vaxxed you in 2000? For what? How did you let someone put a needle in your arm you don't know what it is? And how did you not get a World Health Organization certificate for that vaccination? It sounds very strange and suspicious, your comment. It's a webinar. Yeah, Teresa, is it on it's coming up or it happened already? I heard about it. Suppose there are some people that don't want passports, so there'll be a problem. Okay, well, Tractor Champ, I've said this we don't know before Arctic answers that, and he already answered it, and because we don't know. What I can tell you is that most people don't have travel documents. They're refugees fleeing from war zones. They have nothing but the clothing on their back. They sit in a camp in Kenya where there's 650,000 refugees for years on end. The only documents they have are issued by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. We can issue travel documents. We do that for people. I don't know what's going to happen in the South Africa case. It's a unique situation. It's people coming from in-country refugee status, which is unusual. You're technically, legally not a refugee in the country you're in. If you're forced to flee from a place in the country where you're in, you are an internally displaced person, not a refugee, the legal definition. But for this program, they're accepting you as a refugee because of the circumstances. So, look, let's not get bogged down in all this nonsense. The bottom line is that you need to have a passport. If you're in the 21st century and you're an adult, you don't have a passport, then you're negligent in your life responsibility. You're negligent. Get off your bum and go get a passport, whether you're going to a refugee program or not. You never know when you got to go somewhere. I don't care if you lived in Senecal your entire life and you never expect to go anywhere further than Clarence. Get yourself a passport. If you don't have a passport and this program comes out, we'll wait and see what they say. Okay? I cannot believe how few South Africans have passports. It shocks me to my core. You're like Americans 25 years ago, before 9/11. Only a small number of us have passports. I've had a passport my entire adult life. I've had multiple passports, of course, because they expire. I've had a diplomatic passport, an official passport, tourist passports. You got to have a passport. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. I know some people have been robbed and their passport's been stolen. That's a whole other story. Monday the 24th. Well, you must be out west or out east. Oh, that's the event. It's on. Oh, sorry, got it. Yeah, Arctic took 8 months to get his pilot's license, an experienced pilot. Get it straight now. Tepe Plats, early 2000, when we did the race route, were pointed away from there, and I saw a lot of U.S. military aircraft there. Heard it's a NASA emergency landing runway. It is a NASA emergency landing runway, I believe, and so is Longabon, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But the U.S. military have nothing to do with NASA. We have no tie to NASA whatsoever. And yeah, you probably saw a lot of military aircraft there because there was probably an exercise or they were there. But they're not there permanently. There was only a handful of aircraft at Tepe. So what's your point? Are you trying to imply or are you asking a question, Jan? It is on Monday. That's when the event is. Okay. I mentioned it, Joe's live podcast. Okay, Jacques, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay. I got yellow fever vaccine to travel to Malawi and Mali for work 7 years ago, but haven't heard about it. Yeah, there's vaccine. Yeah, but he said he got a vaccine to leave America. They jabbed him. We don't jab people at our airports. I don't know what that's all about. I mean, you only need a jab if you're going someplace, and that's a recommended. I mean, I had to get rabies vaccination to go to Africa. For Southern Africa, they required military. I had to have rabies, and that's not fun. That's 3 separate injections in this nasty-looking pink fluid that's huge and like a freaking horse needle. That stuff hurt. It burned when it went in. Yeah, but there's such a shortage of that they don't even give that to us anymore. They only give it to people who actually have been bitten and afraid to have rabies because there's a global shortage of rabies vaccine historically for a long time. But 25 years ago, when I went to Africa, I had to get rabies vaccines. Yeah, so I don't know what the gentleman's talking about. That seems very strange. I have to apologize for a few of my fellow countrymen. Okay, thank you, Juan. Oh, here we go. Here's Quintessa. They gave me a vax at the airport leaving Chicago to London. They said it was compulsory. I've never been back because of it. I hope it's not like that anymore. I don't know what you're talking about, Quintessential. Where's your shot record? What did they give you? There's no compulsory vaccine to go to London. It doesn't make any sense. There's no compulsory. And if you were forced to get a vaccine to go to London, that's a UK requirement, not a US requirement. So where have you never gone back to? The US because they made you get some vaccine for the UK? I don't understand that. I'm not trying to be combative with you, but it doesn't make any sense. I have flown in and out of the UK hundreds of times, and I've never been asked for a vaccination record. Not once. Not once. The only place I've been asked for vaccination records are Africa. It's the only place. Or a week's rain that collapses. Well, if you have an expired passport and you go for a refugee interview, you take your expired passport. Whether you can afford travel in the country or out of the country doesn't obviate the need for a passport. You should have one. Why would I get a passport? Well, people haven't always been unable to afford. This has been things that developed over time. Well, fine, don't have a passport. If you don't have a passport and you have to have one to come to the refugee program, then you're shit out of luck. That won't be the case, but if that's what you want to believe. And South Africans aren't too poor to travel. Maybe many of you are, but South Africans aren't. I know a lot of people got plenty of money. They're not giving it to me, but they got plenty of money. The passport's not expensive. 400 rand, 600 rand, that's nothing. My passport costs much more than that. 5 family members, 600 rand a pop. Okay, then don't get them, guys. Don't get your passport. Maybe you probably won't need it. I'm just saying that in the modern world, you need passports. You're all complaining about the cost of it. Fine, don't get them. Don't listen to me. I'm not telling you to get a passport. I'm just saying I can't imagine people don't have passports in the modern world. Thank you for what you're doing. There's no way mainstream media would go this far to create awareness. No, they won't. They will go this far to dissuade you and mislead you about what's happening. That's what they will go. That's what they'll do. Passport is like an ID. It's part of personal documentation. That's the point I'm trying to make, Offer Connor Bohr. That's the point I'm trying to make. First time going to Africa work, that lady shot me 3 shots in arm, burnt like a yeah. Oof, yeah. You must have got the rabies one too. Any vaccines that we might need to get? Not that I'm aware of, Loretta. I'm not aware of any vaccines to come in America. But that stuff changes all the time. I mean, but I've never heard of it. I've never needed to show a shot record. I've never seen a foreigner produce a shot record coming in. But for the refugee program, you might in fact need it. You might have to have like an MMR. I don't know. I didn't say this. I'm not telling you this case, but maybe you need one MMR vaccine. We don't people bringing measles in here. All the illegals are bringing this crap in here, and we've got all kinds of outbreaks of diseases all over the place. So I don't know. They may put it in place to say you have to prove you have MMR, or you have to prove you have this. Maybe, I don't know. If you're not vaccinated for those things, that's a whole other problem, You should be vaccinated for those things. Okay. He's refilling the generators. And so, no, COVID isn't required. We don't require that. In fact, they're looking at banning COVID vaccines right now. I'm assuming if one's passport were to expire while your refugee case is in process, it probably wouldn't, Clint. That's a fair assumption, yep. Okay. They force vaccines at OR Tampa regardless of destination. What are you talking about? That's not true. I've flown through OR Tampa many times. I have in a situation where I was forced to get a vaccine, but it was a scam, and I had no choice. I had traveled to Tennessee and back and forth, which is a yellow fever zone. I had a valid yellow fever vaccination within 10 years. I think it was like 4 or 5 years old. And I showed them my documentation when I came from Tanzania, going through the diplomatic line at OR Tambo, 2 trips in a row over a 6-week period. Came back from the 3rd trip, and the guy refused to accept the same frickin' immigration guy that was there the first 2 times because it came in the same hour of the flight. And he said, no, this isn't valid. I said, what do you mean it's not valid? You looked at it the last 2 trips. He said, fine. No, it's not on yellow paper. You have to have it on yellow paper. I'm like, what? That's not a requirement. That's just so it's easily identifiable. This is printed out from the Army. It's legitimate. Nope, can't come in. Well, what am I supposed to do? Well, you have to walk over to that health office and pay $130. And I do it. But no, I've never seen my jab there. Where do they jab them at? Okay. I just saw someone talking about driver's license. Oh, there's Sean says, look at international driver's license will cover you 90 days US. If you're a migrant, you can buy immediately, hit the ground running. I don't know that you need an international license. You come here, you can drive on your South African license short term. People hire cars on that when they come here. You're going to go get a driver's license anyway very quickly. So, I mean, I wouldn't worry about that. Hit the ground running with what? You going to have a car, Sean? I mean, it's not bad advice, if you want to go spend money on international driver's license, but international driver's license are typically valid for 1 year, and they're not valid in the country they're issued in, and they're tied to your license from where you're at. So if you don't have a South African license, you can't get an international driver's license. Do I still have military duties? Are you fully retired? LT and Gamer, no, I have no military duties, but I can be called back to active duty at any time off the retired list. Yeah, that's why I'm still a colonel, and that's why the title exists, but you have to put RET after it for retired. Yeah, so I could be called back at any time. In fact, a year and a half ago, I was asked if I wanted to come back in active duty, and I considered to go teach at the War College because they have no colonels. They're so short. They're short 18 colonels. That's huge. And so I was asked if I wanted to go back, and I considered it because I would have gotten the pay rise is significant since I retired 5 years ago. Even 3 years ago was high. So I would jump in pay by about 25% in pay. My housing allowance, which I don't get, would add another 20%. So that's 45% increase. I'd have as much as 50 or more percent more income per month than what I'm getting right now for my retirement check. So yeah, it would be well worth it for me to go back. But yeah, I could be called back at any time. But usually the cutoff for that is if you turn 70, they won't call you back, but I'm a long way from 70. Good luck for anyone trying to do their passports. I complete everything online, paid by FMB app, and still saying that there's no slot available for next month. Well, yeah, it's because you all want passports all of a sudden. Plus, their system's broken. I've had yellow fever 4 times, 10 years apart. Now the doctor just signs a card. Wow, Kurt. Need more baseload capacity? Yes. Well, they're not going to get that by shutting down coal-fired power plants. 600 is for a lot for old people. No, not for not old people, Napoleon. A lot of old people got plenty of money. It's not restricted to old people. It's people across the board that can't afford it. Let me know if you need to service them. FMB said they can't help. No, because FMB has nothing to do with it. It's just an outlet for Home Affairs. Home Affairs does it. Power going at 12. Okay. Yeah, they don't do force the vaccines at Artambo. Somebody's just trying to scare somebody. Now, my case was unique because the guy was being an ass. England checked for TB and oh, okay. Well, Ananda, maybe the gentleman's talking about he got a TB time test. That might be required. Maybe England wanted a TB time test to come in, but I flew into England in 2000. I didn't require that. Anyway, maybe they exempt Americans. I don't know because we're not a major tuberculosis. But TB time test, yeah, you get an injection for that. They put a little under the skin, but you can't fly that day. You have to wait 2 or 3 days to see if you have a reaction. So I don't know. Are there bounty hunter courses one can take? I imagine there are, Aaron. I don't know. I'm not into bounty hunting. You'd have to do a Google search. Okay. What do you think of living in Alabama? If you're a police officer in South Africa, what will be the chance to apply for one U.S.? I've covered that many times, Volrot. We have lots of police officers. Some you're required to be a citizen. Some jurisdictions may not be, but all require typically graduation from police academy. And the odds are it doesn't matter if you've been a police officer elsewhere. You don't know the law in America. The law is very different here. And we don't take bribes. So I'm not saying you take bribes. I'm saying police do. There are crooked police here too. So you're going to have to graduate from a police academy somewhere, most likely. Unless you run for election as a sheriff, then it's different. Yet rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So if you can't afford it, then don't get it. But if you can afford it, get yourself a passport. Okay, my passport expires in 6 months. There you go. Just saw Aaron Schroeder's video saying you want to Tucker Carlson again. Yeah, that's what we've heard. Culinary Pirates. I missed your chat there. It disappeared very quickly. Good morning. My passport costs $1,200. Wow. Well, no. How would I possibly have any update, Andre? Do you think I wouldn't have put a video out about that if we had an update? Got an email update from South African U.S. Embassy basically saying that they're waiting for information from State Department. Exactly. All they're doing is telling you what I've already told you. Passports are normally valid for 10 years. That's correct. Shouldn't have to wait for a passport. Can get an emergency passport quickly for an extra fee. I would get on passport. I can imagine Home Affairs stalling more than... Okay, this is what's happening in South Africa. What's happening, Luki Martens? We got lied to by the government in regards... Yeah, that's true. U.S. Embassy in South Africa should thank Colonel Wyatt. Otherwise, there would be a queue 20 kilometers long. You're right about that, Jan. Probably. My lung specialist told me not to get it. Okay, well, you don't need COVID, so I don't know why we're having this conversation. I think from the day that Trump closed the refugee status, he gave 90 days downtime. Yes, that's true, but again, that isn't germane. People keep applying a logic that isn't in place here. Trump suspended the refugee program on January 20th. Full stop. 26,367 people or something like that around the world scheduled to come to the United States over the next several months. Can't come. He wants to review the program because of massive abuse. But then on February 3rd, he issued guidance directing the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security to issue a program prioritizing refugee arrivals and nothing more. He didn't say that it starts immediately. He didn't say, get it to me and then we'll review it. We'll wait the 90 days. Assuming it means 90 days is bullshit. No one has that information. That's an assumption. It may be true. We don't know. Trump doesn't say that in executive order anywhere. He just tells them to get it done. Handle it, Roy. Handle it. It says exactly here. It doesn't say 90 days. It doesn't say it has anything to do with the previous executive order. In fact, this executive order probably overrides that for South Africans. Yep. Take appropriate steps consistent with the law to prioritize humanitarian relief, including admission and resettlement through the United States Refugee Admissions Program for Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination. Submit the plan to the president so he can review it. That's it. So that's an assumption you're making, and we don't know that it's a true assumption. Doesn't depend on the state. No, Sean, that's not true. States don't have different immunization requirements. That's factually untrue. Temporary passports are temporarily not available. Steven says his girlfriend gets a jab every night. The problem is it enough? Does it fall short? Ooh. You can drive a South license. There you go. Thank you, Arctic. Exactly. That's what I said. You can drive your South African license when you come over here. It depends on the state. Once you're settling here, you come here. If you're coming as a tourist, you don't have to do it. If you're coming here, you settling, you have to go out and get a state license in the state you're resident in. We've talked about this many times. Didn't need passports before the First World War, maybe travel papers. I'm not sure how the travel was done back then. There used to be travel documents. But do you think anything would cause us to retract U.S. Okay, first off, Tokoloshi. What? Okay, Tokoloshi, you have to answer this, Tokoloshi. If you want me to answer your question, you have to answer my question. You ready? Now, this is not to put Tokoloshi on the spot, but I want to know this. Anyone can jump in here. Tokoloshi says, do I think that there's anything that would cause the United States to retract the refugee status for South Africans, like the ANC complying to demands? So my question is, what demands has the United States made? What demand has the United States made on South Africa? Somebody want to tell me that. Somebody tell me what demand? Anybody. What demand has the United States made? I'll give you a chance to answer it. What demand have they made? Anybody. Do you also find that some Americans are uninformed about what's... Oh, good Lord, yes, Reno. I mean, I talk about South Africa. Nobody around, their eyes roll. They don't care. Why would they care? It doesn't affect them. Did ours for the bank. It only took a few weeks. Yeah, but the bank had nothing to do with it. It's just an outlet for home affairs. Take advantage of people at the airport who don't know any better. There you go. Thank you, Inkwell. There you go. People do that. They take advantage of people at the airports who don't know any better. I knew better, and I still got screwed over, but I got refunded money by my government. Apparently, me briefing 11 today regarding load shedding. Let's see what that says. Don't suppose they would give refugee status to people with EU passports. No, because it's not for people with EU passports. It's for South Africans. You're not a South African if you have an EU passport. And see, this is the problem where you fucked yourself with this fake dual citizenship bullshit, unless you hide that passport. But, if you're in the database, we share that in the databases. So, boop, Dutch passport. But you said you're South African. Whom do you owe your fealty to? No, you can't be a refugee from South Africa unless you're married to a South African who is affected by it. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but just use the common sense approach here. It's for Afrikaners in South Africa who are racially discriminated against. If you have an Irish passport, you're not a South African. But the program may have different rules. We'll see. Okay. Got pulled over twice in Colorado by the police. Just gave them my passport. Nothing happened. I had no international American driver's license. My vehicle wasn't completely insured. Well, Bitcoin boat, that's a problem. You're driving with an uninsured vehicle, that's a violation. You're driving without a driver's license, you were lucky as... Yeah, you're right. You were lucky. You have to produce a driver's license. They probably just let you go because they thought you're an ignorant foreigner. That's very generous of them. Okay, Tanya's back. Is it possible to get any contact information for my son-in-law? His family is American. His questions about pilots. Huh? Contact information for who? Shot twice and left for dead. Lay on the road, toll road with people driving around me 45 minutes until a biker stopped to check him and he went to the next toll gate and reported. You died twice. Good God. Part of your extraction team. Jana Kruger, government ICE, they're now having people to register and pay for having solar panels. Exactly. Exactly. Do they own the sun? No, they're just thieves. They're just thieves. Okay, I may be old, but I'm sure I have better practice my electronic skills in America. Yeah, I know. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can work here. In the helicopter on the way to the hospital and lay 3 months. A horrible experience, but won't change it for the world. Maybe more responsible, maybe grow up a bit faster. I'm sorry to hear that, Quids. I'm glad you survived. I looked 2 weeks ago at Home Affairs, and appointment is on 12 March, but is now fully booked for the next 2 months. That's because all the people trying to get out. But nobody wants to leave South Africa, guys. No. We've heard it from Agri-SA. We've heard it from the Home Affairs. We've heard it from Cyril Post. We've heard it from ENCA, SABC, Daily Maverick, News 24, IOL, Times Live. Nobody wants to leave. That's just all lies. It's all lies. Really? Why are there no appointments at Home Affairs for passports for months on end? Yeah, on a good day, the system is trained. That's correct. Good point. TB scan test before you go to the UK is about $2,200, but they wouldn't even look at my daughter's ancestral visa application that they scan. Only one place in Cape Town contracted to. I have no idea what you're talking about. 360 to 16. A TB scan that costs a few dollars in America. It's not a scan. You talking about an X-ray? I mean, that you can do that, but that's silly. Just do the jab and you find out. And Michael, the answer is nothing. The answer is nothing. Nothing. So Tokoloshi, to answer your question, nothing. The United States has asked for nothing from South Africa. See, this is the lie. And Tokoloshi, I'm not picking on you, but South Africans are falling for it. They're falling for it. Donald Trump has demanded nothing from South Africa. We didn't ask you to change any laws. We didn't ask you to change any policies. We just said because you're fucking us over in foreign policy and screwing us and undermining our national security, we're not going to give you money anymore. And by the way, we think you're treating people like crap, so we're going to let them come to America. That's it. No one said stop treating them like crap. No one said change your laws. No one said get rid of expropriation. These are fantasies dreamed up in the minds of the ANC and the media. And they're pushing this narrative on South Africans. We've demanded nothing. There's not a single demand from the U.S. government. Yet we're getting abused and attacked every day by Europeans like the moron foreign minister from Norway who went to G20. Well, we've looked into it and the Americans are wrong. Fuck you. I don't give a shit what you say, Norway. You're wrong. There are no demands. We've asked for nothing. We've demanded nothing. If you drive from your home state to another state for a visit or business, do you have to have a grace period that you don't need to get another license? Why are you asking Arctic, Clint? He's a South African. If you drive for your home state, so I live in Pennsylvania and I go to another state, I don't need another license from another state. Our license, as I've said many times, there's reciprocity. My driver's license is valid in every one of the 50 states, Canada, Mexico, and in the 4 territories. It's good everywhere. I don't need another driver's license. I don't need an international driver's license. I drive on my Pennsylvania license, and I used to drive my Ohio license. You don't need to change your license when you're driving back and forth. If you're a truck driver and you have a CDL from Ohio and you drive to Montana, you drive on your commercial driver's license from Ohio. So you don't need to change license. If, however, you are resettling the United States as a refugee and you have a driver's license from the DRC or a driver's license from South Africa, you must get a driver's license in the state you reside in within 30, 60, or 90 days, depending which state it is. Here, I think it's 60 days. Exactly. We're getting no returns, so we're not giving money. Dual citizenship? Dual citizenship is a fantasy. It's bullshit. I don't believe in it. You can't owe fealty to 2 states. How can you fight in the United States Army and fight in the South African Army? How can you do that? You can't. What if they fight each other? You can't do that. So it's bullshit. I understand lots of people in Africa, especially, a lot of people in Africa have dual citizenship or they claim a dual citizenship. The United States doesn't recognize dual citizenship. And you're going to say, no, that's not true, Chris. I've got a South African passport. I got an American passport. Yeah, but you're not allowed to. You just didn't tell people you had a South African passport and you got away with it. Well, I have a British passport and I have a South African passport. Well, good for you. Doesn't mean you're a dual citizen. Yeah, we don't recognize dual citizenship. South Africa doesn't recognize dual citizenship. The only demands made was to comply with the stipulations of AGOA. No, we didn't even. No. See, that's not true, Charles, either. We haven't demanded they apply with. No. See, Charles, you're using the money, but you're wrong there. We haven't demanded that they comply with AGOA. That's in the letter from congressmen. That's not from the government. Those are members of Congress. They wrote to the president. That's not a requirement. Trump didn't say you must apply or must comply with AGOA. If that were the case, we would have suspended AGOA. But South Africa still has duty-free access to the market, despite the fact they violate AGOA. So no, that's not true, my friend. Not true. That's inaccurate. Inaccurate. Monique, what if we don't have money to get a passport for refugee? Well, Monique, again, ask and answer hundreds of times. Please watch the videos. I've done that. I'll answer it again. I've said this already. Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Most people don't have passports who are refugees. They're dirt poor people in Darfur and Somalis living in Kenya and Rohingya living in Bangladesh instead of in Myanmar, in UN camps. They apply for refugee status. They haven't got shit. They haven't got anything. No documents. They're issued travel documents by the IOM, the International Organization of Migration, or the country of origin will issue travel documents to let them enter the country as a refugee. So if you don't have a passport, I don't know the answer for South Africa because the program does not exist. However, all things being equal and past examples being reasonable, if you don't have a passport, it's likely the U.S. government issued travel documents for you. But I can't promise you that. No one can promise you that. I would quit worrying about this shit. The program doesn't exist. People need to turn the temperature down and relax until the program exists. I have a technical drafting college diploma. Apparently, I should not look for a low-skilled job and pursue a specialized job in mechanical engineering, but have no job experience. Huh? You have a degree, but no experience, and you should pursue that. Well, who told you that? Who told you not to? Who told you to? Do what you want to do. But your documents will have to be translated so that they're equivalent here in the U.S., and if they're short some qualifications, you have to get qualified. If they're good, you're going to be good. But you'll get help with that. Refugees, that's a service provided. The U.S. government pays for that. Would it help if we have our car insurance history documents to get better insurance rates? Yeah, that's going to be a problem, Sunil. I don't think that's going to be the case. And I'll tell you why. Here's a perfect example. I'll give you anecdotal. So I never had a car in high school. Dirt poor. Never had a car in college. Dirt poor. Went into the Army. Didn't have a driver's license. Never. My first identification was Ohio University student ID. It's 17 years. First time I had identification of any sort. Went in the Army, no passport, no driver's license. I had that student ID. That's the only photo ID I had, and my birth certificate, which is a copy. Went in the Army, went to Germany, and I got a driver's license from the military. Okay, I bought a car and I paid for insurance when I was in Germany. And you pay high rates in Germany because they screw the military over. They put you in the highest rate because Americans don't know how to drive in Germany. Whatever. Anyway, so I paid for the insurance for the couple of years when I was in Germany. I went back to the States. And I tried to get insurance as an American in the States. 4 insurance companies refused to cover me. 4. I came back to the States in 1987. I was 23 years old. 23? 22. Came back to the States in 1987. 4 insurance companies refused to cover me. These are local insurance companies. We don't know who you are. We're not going to cover you. They didn't care about a driving record. I had the records from the insurance companies. They don't care. I'm not going to cover you. They just flat out turned me down. That was 1987, though. Bear that in mind. So I went to State Farm, which is the nationwide network, and I got an insurance policy with State Farm. But I was in a higher group because I had no record of driving history. Put in a dangerous group. Even though I was put in the same group as 16-year-olds, even though I was 22, almost 23. And I paid out the nose for that insurance for the first year. Then it went down. So, yeah. But have the paperwork. I don't know. I don't work in the insurance industry. Armed home invasion, carjacked. Yep, America's made no demands. They only stop funding. Yep. And we made no promises. We didn't say if you start doing something, you get the money back. All South African government is doing is fuck around and find out with us, poking the bear as much as they can. Pure stupidity and arrogance. Agreed. German voters head to the polls tomorrow. That's correct. Or today in a winter election on Sunday, but may not have a new government for some time. Yeah, because the AFD is going to do very well, and nobody wants to team up with them. And Arctic says, no, it doesn't help. That's what I expected. Yep. But to have the paperwork, I think our Afrikaner need to try and reach out to the White House registration and ask for an update. That's not going to help anything, Reno. They're just going to ignore you. You're going to inundate them. That's why I said from the very beginning, I said, don't go to the embassy in Hatfield. Don't go to our consular sections in Durban, Johannesburg, or Cape Town. You're not. All you're going to do is flood them. You're going to crash their servers. You're going to crash their switchboards, and you're not going to get anything. Just wait. That's all you can do. Mina Nordke says AfriForum had no right to answer for us. They didn't answer for all you. Where do you get that nonsense from? Where do you get that from, Mina Nordke? They didn't do that. All these people come here and tell me this, and I went and watched the press conference. They didn't claim to speak for all you all. You read that in the newspaper, and you fell for it. You fell for it. That's not what AfriForum said. I watched it. It's not what they said. Yeah, getting a driver's license is easy here. Power just came on after load saying, all right, Joachim, good to see you there. Ilana Jansa van Rensburg finally can join the live stream. Load shedding. It does. AfriForum don't want whites to leave who will pay monthly support fee. Actually, Monument, you're mistaken. There are a number of people who support AfriForum from abroad. They make money from people abroad for supporting AfriForum. So all things being equal, they'll probably make money from people who left South Africa. Yep. Yes, has only been kind to our country. Just take a look at the H2A program for farmers. Yeah, over 100,000 farmers have come here. Different story if you hear it directly from people on the ground. DA News 24, don't speak for people like me. Skills will go. Okay, no America won't send us back unless you do something. Well, if you commit fraud, you lie to them to get into the country. If you commit crimes, you can be stripped and sent back. Yep. You're welcome, Rulinda Engelbrecht. No, Reno, White House, not the party working to get the program. Yeah, it's the Department of State and Department of Homeland Security. Joachim Fenter owns this hot fall. My question is to be, what is this lovely DA doing? Yeah, exactly. Hamas is terrorists, okay? If you want to keep your SA citizenship, you should not apply for refugee status. That's not true, Napoleon Dynamite. See, that's fake news. Stop that, Napoleon Dynamite. Why would you say that? It's illegal for a country to strip you of your citizenship because you apply for refugee status. It's illegal. A country cannot deny you your citizenship. That violates international norms. If South Africa does that to people en masse, then they're going to pay a price for being transgressors in the international community. They can't take your citizenship away for refugee status. They cannot do that. That's the whole point. You're being persecuted. And you can't become an American for 5 years. So you can't be stateless for 5 years. That's illegal. The United Nations doesn't recognize statelessness. So, no, that's bad information. Bad information. Because you could become a refugee to come to America, and when the problem that forced you to leave is alleviated or improved, you could go home. In theory, you're all supposed to go to fuck home when you're done. Get out of here. Go back. But nobody ever does. Refugees never go home. The Liberians are still here 35 years later. So whining, oh, we want to stay. No, take your tax money and fix Liberia. No, take your money you've accumulated wealth, go back to Liberia and fix it, not us. No, refugees never go home. A handful here and there. But no, they can't strip you of your citizenship. And you don't have to become an American. You can remain a South African if you want. If the ANC strips you of your citizenship, that's a violation of international norms. Not allowed. You get a Social Security number, open a bank account, get a driver's license, build a credit score. Exactly. Piece of cake. Easy peasy. Yes, okay, Charmaine, the propaganda mainstream media said that AfriForum said we won't take the offer from USA. We as AfriForum will stay for our members. Right. They will stay for their members. They have a responsibility to South Africans, and South Africa are staying. Why would the leadership of AfriForum immigrate out of the country? For the millions of South Africans stay behind who need their services, why would they leave? They say they're staying to represent their members. They didn't say that their members shouldn't leave. That's bullshit. You're falling for propaganda. Quit watching that shit. You got to watch a real channel, real news like this. No, we don't have load shedding a lot. No country has load shedding except African countries that are fucked up. Boy, the F word's coming out of my mouth left and right now. No, we don't have load shedding. Does that mean power doesn't go? Of course power goes out. We had ice storm, the freaking rain, it freezes on the damn power lines and weighs it down the above ground power lines, and they snap. That happens. I lost my internet the other night because of flooding out here. Not here, but down at the switching station a few kilometers away. They went and fixed it. You know, people lose power, but we don't have load shedding. Our grid has more than enough electrical generation. You don't generate enough electricity because of the negligence, malfeasance, and destruction of your grid. No, we don't have load shedding. And why does it matter? What do you care? Load shedding just started. You saw Monty. Did you talk to him, or did you go to one of his shows? No, I haven't talked to Monty in a couple months. My husband has a friend in Miami with a plot in Arkansas. He said he'll build a little cabin. There you go. Arkansas, it's all right. We all need a bit of patience. Exactly. Current presidential order is a work in progress, people. When it was been finalized, exactly. Part 2 of your academic qualifications evaluated for U.S. equivalency after 1 year. Apply for a green card. I think I mentioned that in part 2 of my videos. Is everything in the U.S. as slow as this process? Napoleon. No. I got my driver's license in less than 20 minutes. Drove to the testing center and issuing center. Presented my Ohio license. I'd already filled out the paperwork online. They had it. She pulled up a computer. Asked me a couple questions. I surrendered my Ohio driver's license. She pushed it in the computer. Told me to go wait over in the other holding area. I waited. A couple minutes later, they called me up. And it took 20 minutes because I was cracking jokes and having fun chatting with them. They took my photograph. Asked me if I wanted to register to vote right there. Register to vote. Boom shakalaka. Set. Good to go. Good to go. Just like that. 20 minutes. Now, that was fortunate. Some place you go, like the Maryland MVA, Motor Vehicle Administration. Oh my God, you wait for hours. Whew, I had to go there because something with my vehicle registration years ago in Maryland. Oh my God, what a disaster. I just quit going there. I would go to the one in Annapolis, and then that one got swamped. And so Maryland's a mess. Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, North Carolina. Good choices. Medical aid, insurance works very differently. USA, your credit score does not transfer. Nope, you don't get it. You start from zero. Yep. It's not an easy process, so man up if you want to come over. Exactly. South Africa and Namibia offer dual citizenship if you comply with regulations. Now, that's an exception, Nita Grobler, because it was a colony of South Africa under the League of Nations mandate. Hey, Jacques says, please go watch all the videos. You'll find them. Chris, you're going to get at least 2 million such questions. That's the burden of having to bear 1,000 subscribers. No, I don't have to answer any of the questions, Rick. I don't have to answer any of the questions. There have been home invasions, farmhouses. Huit Constantia Limpopo. Yep. Okay, I know Arctic. I'm in love-hate relationship at the moment with AfriForum because I warned them. In less than 20 minutes. It took me longer to drive there and back than it did to do the whole process. It took me 20 minutes to drive there. It took me 20 minutes to drive back. It took me 20 minutes. The whole thing was done in an hour. Done and dusted there and back. Yes, LT, I know. I don't have to wait like that. But now in Maryland, in Glen Burnie, I had to wait for a long time. Yeah. Firearm applications, maybe 2 weeks instead of a year. Yep. I go buy a gun right down here, 10 minutes away at a shopping center, at an outdoor shop. Fill out the paperwork. 72 hours later, get my gun. Piece of cake. The way people drive in South Africa, I'm sure that they buy the license or find them in lucky packets. Okay, you didn't say, sorry, your own. Exactly. They didn't say that, yeah, they're not going. 48,600. That's what we had when we started this broadcast, so we really haven't gained any subscribers then. Oh, we gained some. We're at 692, getting closer to 49. Okay, got driver's license in 5 minutes for 50 Rand. Yeah, I'm sure you did. It's not a legitimate one either. AfriForum is saying that if you accept the offer to become a refugee or show interest in it, then you cannot remain as... No, they're not saying that. They're not saying that. Stay in Annapolis for a year. I heard there was a fire in Annapolis. Was it? There's fires in every town every day. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. All right. Folks, this has gone way longer than I thought. 3.5 hours. I was going to quit an hour ago. Wow, that's crazy. All right, I got to drop off here. I need to get some rest and get up in the morning. Area's power will be off for 11 hours today. That's terrible. Sure, refugee would have to wait some time. No, why? Why? Okay, think of the logic there, 1440. Why would you have to wait? Did you not just go through an extremely rigorous background check to vet you, to make sure you're not a risk to come to America? Did we just not confirm that you're not a murderer, a rapist, a pedo, a home invader? Did we just go through a process? Yes, we did. Otherwise, we don't let you in the country. So if we just gave you a thorough background check, why would you not be able to get a firearm? Now, bear in mind, if you go to some crappy state like New Jersey, or the Jersey folks here tonight, in Maryland, they try to prevent everybody from getting firearms. They're very difficult to get firearms. But if you live in Pennsylvania, Wyoming, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, getting a firearm, easy peasy. Why wouldn't we let refugees have a firearm? You're extended the same rights as Americans because you're here on a status. So why wouldn't you have it? It's a Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Now, some states might have requirements, like for a handgun, you might have to go through a licensing process, but, you know, why? It doesn't make any sense. What supporters are for people who want to start a small business? Sanel asked and answered many, many times. In fact, while you were in the conversation, I've answered that question the past couple of days. There's lots of support for small businesses from the Small Business Administration, from state organizations. But nobody's going to come out and give you money to start a business. That's on you. But there are grants for things depending on what you're doing. So you'll have to check that on your own. Look, finally, a subscription. Vilken Fundamental. It's been a while since we had one of those. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for all my mods tonight, to Arctic and to Debbie especially, for putting a lot of time in there. Thank you, all you. Those who gave a few super chats, I appreciate that. Those who bought memberships for others, 10 of them, and someone got one of their own. Thank you for that. Thank you for your questions. Again, if I get a little animated, and I go out of my way to say it's not at the person asked the question, because it's a question. And I've answered these things many, 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 many times. And nobody's watching the videos. It's very frustrating and quite annoying. People ask me for the videos, I make them, and then a tepid response watching them. Please go watch the videos, all right? I've addressed many of these things. I've addressed the vetting. I've addressed financial support. I've addressed qualification and categories of people coming here and all that stuff. So please go watch the videos. And then watch the 14 questions asked, all right? And that's still a valid video, even though I did it going on 2 weeks ago. All right, so what I would say is that y'all need to quit cocking on AfriForum and Solidarity. They didn't say what you think they said and what you're claiming they said. I listened to the video. The media is lying about what they said. And it's your fault for believing the media. Go back and listen to what they actually said. Listen to the entire press conference, 52 minutes. And then come back and tell me that what you told me is true, because it's not. It was in English, not Afrikaans, so I understand it clearly. I didn't get confused. I didn't miss a verb. And look, I'm not defending AfriForum Solidarity. I'm defending the truth. AgriForum said they're not going anywhere. They rubbished it and said they kind of dissed people going, well, that's what AgriForum, not AgriForum, Agri-SA, that's what they said, not AgriForum. Agri-SA, they said that, but no. And Venant Dutoy from the Sightline Civil Defense Group, he said, I can't tell people not to go, but I have responsibility to people that I'm staying here for. So, yeah, that's, anyway, so. And again, I'm not telling you to leave. I'm not telling you to stay. That's on you. That's your decision for you, what fits for you. I'm just heart sore that it's come to the stage. I mean, but let's look at the poll before we close. We have 844 answers on this poll, okay? And there it is. Have you been a victim of violent crime? Okay. Let me just fix that real quick. Okay. 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 Okay, this is what the answer was. Now, this is scary. Have you been a victim of violent crime in South Africa? Murder, rape, home invasion, carjacking, et al. 78% of 800 votes. 78%. And the way the question was worded, some people said they would have answered positive if it was worded differently. So let's get this over here. So 848 times 0.78. That means that 661 people have been victims out of 848. That's insane. That's insane. I don't know anyone who's been a victim of violent crime. Anyone. I'm 59 years of age again this year, and I've never met. And I've lived all over the world. All over the world. Anyway. Which take away so many school shootings. There aren't so many school shootings, Jacques. They're just covered. There aren't so many. How many have there been, Jacques? How many school shootings been? By the way, who has more mass shootings? South Africa or the United States, Jacques? South Africa by a wide margin. By a wide margin. It's really easy to access. Well, the reason there are school shootings is because they've made them gun-free zones. And also the violent culture that's perpetrated in certain areas. And look at where the school shootings are. All right. I would not worry about school shootings. Yeah, Artie says, even though I have a yellow card for vaccines, nobody has in South Africa, USA, ever asked to see it. Yeah, I travel a lot too. Well, you're a pilot. I traveled millions of miles, a few million miles as a passenger on aircraft over the past 40 years. And I have only ever been asked for a shot record twice. In Tanzania on arrival and in South Africa on arrival from Tanzania. That's it. Israel, Iraq, all of Europe, the rest of Africa, nobody gave a flying flip about my immunization record. Yep. Okay, Arctic, I was just about to do the same thing. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for being here. Take care. Appreciate you all being here. Have a good night. And we'll catch you later on Sunday. Hanging there with the load shedding. Cheers.